We are live, gentlemen. We have survived.
I really wish I wouldn't have been clearing my throat as soon as you said it. And we're live.
Is that a world record interrupt from Kyle right there? I mean,
That's an 80% speed run best.
That was an absolute best
You
world
son of a
record
bitch.
right there. Holy shit. Gentlemen, we're live. We celebrated this weekend. We got hammered. We survived. We are feeling good. We have recovered. We are not young anymore. Let's put it that way. It took me... I'm glad we stopped drinking at 6:37 p.m. or whatever it was because I needed all that time to the next morning to fully recover.
Well, and you start at 11.
That's the strategy.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a day like that, the strategy is starting at
I felt fine
early.
by the time I went home, but I stopped probably about an hour before you guys stopped. And
who knows how many more shots there were.
I don't know how many you got in that hour, but Dylan, well, you went to bed. Billy,
Yes.
You said it was the most abrupt... All right, head to bed,
Worth it.
boys. Then we really didn't see him again.
I never.
And then Dylan took about an hour and a half nap on the couch, and I cleaned up the kitchen.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
I'm a
guys.
nice guy like that.
Definitely a nice guy. I appreciate you.
It was a fun time though.
Yeah, it was
We
a fun
played
time.
Elden Ring.
We did. We did Drunken Ring. We did it true to the sport of Drunken
Every time
Ring.
someone died, and it got a little crazy.
And we did not get far at all. But we did get to experience some of the best parts of the game,
We
which is
got-
Limgrave.
We got fairly far.
2 Great Rune bosses.
Yeah.
What would you put? That's like 20% through the game, right?
That's not. I mean, that's not that far. For being honest, like
Yeah.
because of how long the game actually is. Like if you're a newbie and you think, wow, I'm making progress. When you put it into context, the game can be very long.
Yeah. I mean, to our credit, though, we were doing it level 1 fists only. And so, no,
We were.
Yep. I used Horaloose Stomp only.
Have you seen the guy that's going through the game right now currently that's doing a level 1 Wretch fist only playthrough?
Oh my God.
It's insane.
I'm pretty sure Fire Giant took him like 10 and a half hours.
Oh,
That doesn't even
10
sound
you
fun.
because you
half
can't
hours.
pause. So
Nope.
what do you do?
You can pause if like you read an item description or something like that. So I don't know if you can do that. Like, but yeah, no. 10
There's
and
no
a half
way that
hours.
would work in a boss fight. They would just pummel you.
I know there's like if you read an item description, I'm pretty sure it does pause the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't pause. I think it does pause the game. Like I don't know how that works with multiplayer if you can't even just read the description then. But
Yeah, like if somebody comes in as an invader, is it just all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
frozen until you stop reading the description?
yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's
but-
like the same thing. You can't open your map when you're in combat. Maybe you can't click on it or something.
oh, good point.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
you
definitely
could pull
click
up
on
your
items.
equipment,
You
yeah.
could definitely click on items.
You have to like read the description though, and it will, for whatever reason, actually just be a pause interruption on the game.
Really? I need some confirmation. I'm going to try that tonight.
Go ahead.
I don't believe it.
I
think you're
I
lying.
think it's the only way that these guys can get a mental break after fucking
10 hours?
It's crazy.
That doesn't even sound fun.
No, dude.
sounds
No,
like-
not Fire Giant.
Like, imagine feeling like you need to be that perfect for that long and not make any mistakes.
Yeah, because if he gets
He'll
hit
one-shot you.
once, done.
There's no way.
Once-
10 hours down the drain.
There's no way you could take a hit at level 1, soul level 1.
With probably no armor for max, regen.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
highly
no.
doubt you could take a hit from Fire Giant.
Yeah. And even if you're right.
Very impressive. Very impressive. But nothing I would
Somebody
ever
check that
try
guy's
and
mental health.
nothing I would ever try and do.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem worth it to me.
But we do have a long list of stuff that we do want to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Let's talk about a game that we all have been playing here recently, Helldivers 2.
I played it the most out of all of us. Billy played a little bit, and Kyle got to play like a few games. And
I played like 4 hours, but 20 minutes of actual gameplay.
And I've played it, I don't know, probably, I've gone back 3 different times now. And I've also watched it like while I worked the last couple days. So it's a fun game.
yeah, it's fun. I mean, the main issue that, if I had to bring up one is just they didn't expect it to be this popular. And
No, they weren't
so
ready.
you can't join right now, like peak hours, like weekend, you can't join a game. It's like you're waiting in a queue.
Unless you're a super citizen.
Yeah, and then
Apparently.
even then, you don't get the XP and the currency you earn doesn't apply until you log out, log back in.
It's kind of weird.
So I don't know if they fixed that over the past weekend, but this past weekend when we tried to play, we were not sadly able to.
I'm pretty sure that is a thing though. If you do the super citizen thing, because
Do they prioritize you getting in?
my brother-in-law bought it, and I was bitching to him when I saw him this weekend about like all the server issues that like I want to play, but I have been struggling to get into play.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I haven't had any issues." It's
Oh
like,
my God.
okay, yep,
Weird.
there it is, and he paid. He got the full fatty.
I wonder if there's like some data on that.
I don't know if there's any grumblings online. I mean, it would make sense. You would want to support the people that
paid more.
paid
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, but in
like,
theory, you're already supporting them by giving them a few extra things, like in game and stuff.
yeah, no, I get it. It's probably like it probably is wrong. Definitely.
For
but, like,
context, the Super Citizen it's not a full price game, so the Super Citizen edition is
60.
the equivalent of a full price game.
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you buy that version.
But yeah, it's a fun. While Kyle looks that up, it's a fun game. I played quite a bit of it, and just the whole concept of it, I really enjoy. Of like, you have these multiple planets, and it's like an instance. You go in, and there's a mission. And it's real simple, and like you're given a allotted time, and depending on what type of mission, you kind of approach the mission basically. But the potential that I see for it is so cool. Like, they can now create anything basically in that universe. Like they could have you go to any planet, they have multiple, and they have like you try and win it from these enemy factions, and it goes back and forth. And I just really liked it. They could introduce a completely new enemy type fairly easily.
Yeah. Oh, dude, easily. They already have robots. AI. They have aliens, which that they could literally do whatever they want with that right there. I love like the world dynamic of it, where I feel like it makes you feel like you are a part of a larger group.
Yeah.
When you dive into a world, you see stratagems going off in the far distance, which I thought was like really cool because it made it seem like, okay, there's multiple people on this planet doing missions right now.
Yeah.
And there was like world bonuses, like, hey, like the AI have gathered resources and are pushing on this sector or whatever. Make sure we go over there, and you can see like the world's progress in terms of like liberating or capturing these planets and getting those up, and you can participate in that and have some fun. And in the gameplay loop is, in my opinion, very satisfying. You get that little bit of exploration. It's not all gas, no break. Like, there's a lot of downtime in those missions of exploring and finding,
especially the
different stuff.
open world ones. Like, because there are the ones like the scientist one and the destroy all enemies. Those ones are more confined, like
Stay on the spot.
Short missions versus the ones me and Billy were able to do. You get placed on this pretty much open world, and you have a set mission, but then there's optional objectives, there's outposts, and you try and get as much done as you can within 30, 40 minutes. I think it's usually 40 minutes.
Yeah, and I like the progression. I feel like I've been able to unlock some cool new stratagems without having to play too much.
Yeah.
Like, as I'm figuring out, like, I have enough upgrade materials to unlock some stuff that I want to try out.
And they sprinkle the world with those stratagems. Like we were playing, I was able to find the jump pack just naturally
as you explore.
You found that
then
crappy
benefits
electric gun.
Yeah, the arc lightning or whatever.
Yeah.
Terrible. But it like the world feels fun to explore, and it seems like a lot of fun. I don't know how its replayability solo. I think they need to implement a lot of like quality of life items there to like find a group more easily.
I had no problems with the matchmaking.
Okay.
Me and Billy, when we were playing before you hopped on, Kyle, we found kind of a workaround for the matchmaking. What it does right now is when you join a session, it'll kick the other person out so that you join it, and then as long as there's an open spot, they can then join you. So it's
So if I'm the
something
party
broke.
leader with Dylan, we join. He will actually join, and I'll get kicked back out. I'll disconnect. But then I can join on him to get synced up. That's how it worked, at least in ours.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I did a little
Little
digging.
This is
and,
Helldivers 2. Victory.
It doesn't look. It seems pretty inconclusive on server priority. There's people that are saying no matter what version. Some people were thinking pre-orders did it, but now people that are pre-ordering can't get in either. But actually, the most common thing, because Arrowhead, I think that's the developer, they said specifically there is no server priority, but people online are starting to think that maybe if you have a PS5, you're getting in quicker than if you're on PC.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But
Could be.
that isn't,
However, the
that
matchmaking
isn't
works.
really supported by a lot of evidence yet.
And our evidence too.
Yeah.
Because you were able to get in.
I was able to get
You
in
were on
right quick.
PS5 too, right?
But then there's some people saying that Super Sit that had no effect. It still takes some hours to get in. So I don't know. It's just luck of the
Random.
draw that night.
Yeah, because you restarted a couple times. Were able to launch right.
I
in
would
and-
get in literally within like 30 seconds
Yeah.
when I did it that night. I don't know what that was about, but
So there's definitely some quality of life that like server capacity I think is their biggest uphill battle. But that's something that'll normalize very quickly as the player base just sort of normalizes. You know, like there's a lot of hype behind this game right now, but they should address it as soon as possible because they want as many people playing the game and exposed to it. I also feel like they could do some. There can be some work in the movement of the game. Like I don't like that I'm limited to run, like sprint and dive.
I would love a jump mechanic.
Well,
Yeah.
it's weird. The only way you can jump, Kyle, is if you have that jump pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that you could just jump normally.
It definitely feels weird in a game to not have like because it has a Z-axis, you can mantle on stuff and climb up objects. So it just seems weird that that's not like a basic feature. But they kind of like meme it in the game, you know. It's like, well, how do you survive this? You dive, and then dive again, and then dive again, and then dive again. Like
They're like very self-aware of their game.
And
Yeah.
it's like they set out to create a very specific game with a very specific gameplay loop and have fun with it, and they accomplish that. And I think it's awesome that they're getting the recognition that they deserve because it's a fun game.
Yeah.
So I think they can implement on that stuff.
Yeah, and I really want us to actually play it together once the servers or like once all those issues go away, because we truly didn't. We got to play very little together, and I felt like if we dive more into it, dive more into it. No, I think we can have fun. But
And the game is like we were all talking about it. Like the servers were an issue. Obviously, I had no crashing issues. It ran very stable.
I'm trying to think.
I didn't crash a
I had
single
an
time.
FPS bug once.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Bad.
You had and then you backed us out in the middle of
And
like
we lost
were
our
tracking.
server
I
queue,
was
and
pissed.
we were just.
You ruined my night.
I went to bed angry because of you.
We did, I think.
So like it runs really well. The game launches very fast. I know you were talking about that, Kyle. Like it just seems like you can get in and evolve very, very quickly.
All Sony titles
Yeah, you can boot
are
like boom.
extremely fast.
It's true.
I don't know what it is, but they
Compared when we were trying to play the finals, how long it took for us to join the match versus Helldivers, we were like in the game when the servers were not busy, but
the servers is what bogs it down. But when it's working the way it's supposed to work, it's extremely quick. I went from not having loaded at all and in the game within like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It was really fast. And this is on PS5 for context.
Yeah, and I feel like the upgrade, like I like the stuff that you can build towards, and I like that you earn. It's kind of interesting because I don't know if I generally like this often, but there's like 4 or 5 different currencies that you collect by doing these missions, right? You get like the stuff to upgrade your ship, the stuff to upgrade your armors, the stuff to upgrade, like just buy stuff in the shop, and then you get like the currency to then upgrade like your stratagems and stuff. Like there's each of those are like your own currency. And I'm sure you probably run into barriers at the end where it's like, oh man, I've got to grind this specific thing out to get over that hill. But right now, at least in the early game, it's kind of nice that I can spend my resources to get a couple new things in this category, spend a couple new things in this category.
yeah.
Like right now, it feels really good to kind of progress all of those things and not have to choose, well, I want this for my ship, but I want this for my guy too. So I'm going to prioritize. Like, I feel like I'm kind of across the board advancing.
Yeah.
And it feels really good right now. It's fun. I'm enjoying it.
I don't think I played it long enough to really get grabbed, but so far I haven't like experienced anything in that game where it's made me be like, wow, no wonder people love this. Like and I think it might, the fact that we're having all these server issues and all these bugs, that was warping my opinion on what the game really like actually is. I do remember thinking like it was a lot of fun, but all like mainly like for like memes, like
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you know, like
Have
so
you ever
we'll
played
see.
an
I
extraction
don't-
game?
yeah. So I don't have anything like. I think I would have to reserve judgment if I'm able to get in and actually put in like a good like 10 hours at least.
Yeah.
Before I feel.
That's why I
you know.
hope we can play together again. Here
But like
soon.
I also I don't
For
like the ship. I don't like the hub. I don't like it just feels barren and plain and like I want romance options.
Where's Liara?
Where's-
Where's Tolly?
But see, that's what, like, to me, as someone who only cares about the gameplay, like, it shows that all their effort for development went into the gameplay. Like, just the diversity of worlds that you and I
Yeah.
experience, what I experience, what I've seen online. Like, it's amazing, the different landscapes, the different enemy types, the different
missions.
different
too.
mission types of, like, what you're trying to collect, the pacing of it all.
I'm
It's
obviously I'm
refreshing.
joking about the romance options, but
Oh, yeah.
I do think that there's a way to have a pretty basic hub world, but it still be somewhat like feeling more like a community,
Yeah.
like Destiny. You know, their hub.
I wonder if
like,
they'll aim for
you
that
know,
soon. Is
something
is
like that.
Have a hub world, and then you can fly your ship out on a mission, and then when you're getting ready for the mission, that like Destiny,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, you have the hub world, and then when you go for the mission, you're in space. and
Which
you're
I
little-
get that kind of thing is totally, I guess, not important to a lot of players, but for me, it like I don't know, it's like helps with immersion.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that I could see that, especially like coming from like your mindset of the games that you like to play. I think they could easily bolster out like a cooler ship or more
I would
things
like
interact.
if you can park your ship at the Helldivers Academy, and you could see other people playing in a little.
like a little online hub,
yeah.
and then there's like NPCs.
I would like that.
That would be kind of cool. Actually.
And there's NPCs that are like that run shops
And
and,
trade,
stuff and
yeah.
trade and
That'd be kind of neat.
like I guess very similar to like what Destiny is.
The
but,
tower.
like
And they have like a
Yeah.
training grounds that just like is throwing swaths of enemies at you, and you can try out all the different stratagems. That'd
yeah,
be
I
kinda
think
cool.
that'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool if they patched that in at some point. I think that would help with immersion for me, for my sake. I feel like I need something like that because I feel so unimportant to the world when like I'm just on a ship by myself with a few people that are just kind of standing there saying the same thing over and over again. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're not like the general or whatever. Like you are just a Helldiver.
They make
you
it
know?
very clear to you that like
You're
you're
a
very
pawn.
expendable.
Yes.
In the very beginning, like, and I'm like, well, if these people are so expendable, why do they give them a whole ass ship when they graduate the most basic of boot camps?
I will say though that it was one of the more fun tutorials I've ever played in a game. Like I actually was laughing and enjoying doing it.
It was funny. It was
Yeah.
well written, and it taught you enough to know like kind of what the gameplay is. Not so much like
The mission.
we
structure,
laugh
yeah.
because we went through the boot camp, and then he's like, I've never seen such skill. Like he talks you up the whole time, and
the
then
first
we
thing you do is mantle over, and he's like, "I've never seen such acrobatic agility." It's like what?
and then we graduated our boot camp. We joined up and we got our asses handed to us on the very first thing we did. It was just obliteration. There was
It's crazy.
chill. And I was like, this was the worst prep I ever had to face this enemy. Like, it's no wonder they're so expendable. All these Helldivers diving in and dying within
And they're
like 5
frozen.
seconds.
They wake up, get shot down, and die.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's their life. Sick.
Love it.
Sick. Sick AF.
So, moving on from Helldivers 2
Yes.
to some fun game. Check it out. Elden Ring DLC. Tomorrow at 6:30
The
a.m.
trailer.
Pacific. The trailer. The announcement to the announcement, as
Yeah.
Kyle said.
Speculation, thoughts?
Is
Thoughts?
it gonna be what when we played through Elden Ring here? The opening cinematic is completely just pictures. They do a slow scroll over the pictures. I wonder, the trailer just gonna be pictures,
Just all like thematic art to set the world.
or are we actually gonna get gameplay?
We aren't gonna get gameplay.
We might.
I like not get what we might get is like a MP like a character just kind of running and it's like panning around. But I highly
On
doubt
torrent.
we might see like some of the boss animations, like like attacking.
If
or
it's
something
anything
like,
like the first trailer for Elden Ring, it's gonna be totally minuscule
yeah.
and not understand anything.
Because the first one was the Millennia versus.
Apparently, it's 3 minutes.
The very
long.
first
Dawn,
trailer, no, the very first trailer was literally just like a narration over the ring, like, and there's epic music
Oh,
playing.
that's right.
And that was like it. There was no footage of anything.
As it was being
And it was like,
reforged.
and you'd hear the ting, and in the first shot, you think that he's building it, but actually, I think that was like
Him
shattering
breaking it,
yeah. But you don't know anything. So it's very possible that they do something like that. They've never done that. Usually, by the time they come out with their DLCs from software, their first trailers are pretty fleshed out. There's not a whole lot of teasing going on. It's just like this is kind of what it is.
The world, yeah.
You know, they've always done very, very well with their DLCs. It's usually the same thing, almost like every time. It's you find a certain object in the game world, and then you like absorb the memory of that object and go back in time. And so I imagine it's going to be something similar to that. And Mikola is going to have some kind
It's
of
probably his hand. You walk up to his
You
hand.
probably go up to his hand, the one after you beat Moog, and you touch his hand, and you go into his memory
dreams
or something. Yeah,
That's pretty late in the game, though. How have they done their DLCs before? Like,
they've always been sectioned off after fairly late.
oh, okay.
Yeah, they want you to play the game first. They
Yeah.
want you to just jump in and
Try and beat the DLC or
yeah.
get stuck doing the DLC. I mean, if you didn't know, like if I went back to play like Dark Souls, 2 or 3 or 1 after all these years and didn't really remember them, could I easily walk into a DLC and not really know it? Or is it pretty obvious? Like you jump to a whole new theme.
It's usually fairly difficult to do it because you need like a certain object with a key, or like you need like something that'll allow you to get like for instance in Dark Souls 2, like the crown DLCs, there's 3 of them. You had to you would find like a certain object that was a key to an entrance to a secret area. Like the one DLC was locked behind the rotten. And
Do players have to find this?
Yeah.
Or do they announce it?
They usually say they'll be like, this object unlocks your path, and you got to fucking find it in the world. It's not just like they hand it to you.
And there's probably 10,000 nerds out there going, what's the name of the object?
I
know exactly where that's
guarantee
at. It's going to be dropped by this enemy at nighttime.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. I guarantee it'll be found within the first couple hours
Yeah.
of being out. But yeah, usually they don't just give you the object unless you're buying like a couple years from now. They're probably gonna launch like the complete edition of Elden Ring, and then your character will just have it in its inventory to start, because that's usually what they've done with the other ones in the past.
And then what about timelines do you guys think of? So the trailer's dropping now.
It would
How
be,
soon after do you think it's going to be
Before the
released?
shattering, probably, because Mikola still looks young and healthy. Mikola also exists as man and woman at the same time. He can go back and forth.
Because we were looking at the family tree, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't Mikola the god of dreams?
Mikola is like a child, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, kind of.
I thought he was like a young child.
Let's ask Spotty Vidya. Let's give him a.
Yeah, I was gonna say whatever we
I got him on
see,
speed dial.
whatever we see in this trailer, we are going to get a half-hour long clip
Mikola's,
of Vati going through like frame by frame, word by word. What this means is it could be this. We will venture into these areas.
he's one of the
Like, oh, shit.
Imperiums. So he's not a child. He's cursed to be forever young.
Ah,
That's what it is.
okay.
So he could be like 1,000 years old and still look like a kid.
And Mikola's Melania's brother, right?
Yeah.
And he's the better swordsman.
No, Melania's better.
He was always
Mikola-
trying to find a cure for Melania.
Melania was like born rotting, pretty much, and so Mikola was trying to help her. Let's see.
Somewhere I thought he's the god of dreams, or he has to do with dreams.
Well, that's kind of perfect for a DLC. Then
Yeah.
you touch his hand, and all of a sudden you get thrown into a. Where do you think? Like, where do you think it's going to take place in the ocean area? Like, everyone keeps aligning
the shadow of the Earth Tree.
Where is that?
It's in the shadow.
So maybe you
It's
gotta.
behind the Earth Tree.
It's in the
So
shadow.
it's after Elden Beast. You have to like go past the ring. The shadow. Well, where's the sun at?
Sir Gideon Ofnir said that Mikula is alive because he has been quoted as not dead but slumbering, and Gideon Ofnir confirmed that. So he's not actually dead in that egg. Mogus just has him.
Why didn't we
trapped.
shank him?
I don't know. He's not evil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he didn't
but-
do anything to us.
Yeah, but
So he
you
never.
know his powers.
Moog wanted him to ascend to godhood, and he never was successful at it. Because Moog wanted him to be a god, because as an Empyrean, I guess you can, that is something you can do, is you can ascend to godhood. And Moog wanted to be his consort, but it didn't work
And
out.
kidnapped him.
He kidnapped him, and Moog's weird, man.
Yeah.
Moog's a freak.
I love that boss fight though. So much.
So Mikula's true ability appears to be the ability to compel affection from others. So maybe that's why he can appear it as like any gender, and like he has the ability to make anyone affectionate towards him. It's kind of weird though. He's a little kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. Do you think it'll take place like before the shattering, or Mikula? It was sometime after the shattering that he ended up getting captured by Moog. So there's a lot of room
There's a
to
lot of
play
time
there.
they could play with. I think
What if you play as Mikula and he plays a kid?
that'd be crazy.
Have they ever done that where you play
No,
as a? That would be insane.
you've only ever played as.
Whatever character.
Yeah. I do think they have made it so where like certain people that you thought was gonna be a bad guy was not a bad guy in the DLC and ended up like helping you and stuff. One of the best examples of like kind of twisting the narrative on its head, and you're like, oh shit, was in Bloodborne. They all throughout the game they talked about the great hero. Oh my god, what is his name?
Roderick?
No, not he's the horse guy.
Radon?
No.
Oh shoot! With the moon's greatsword.
Ludwig.
Ludwig.
Yeah, so Ludwig was talked about as like the greatest of the hunters, and he was talked about as like this is like this legend. And they build him up, and even there's a weapon like Ludwig's Holy Blade, and you can grab it, and it's like one of the best weapons in the game. And then when you do the DLC, you finally find out what happened to Ludwig, and he fucking he's full on beast form. Like he completely succumbed to the darkness, and he's like half horse, and it's like, and when you first see that, you're like, holy shit, like this is the guy that, and you're like, if this happened to this guy, what hope does my character have? And then you realize maybe I'm just that badass.
I mean, that's how it always is. And
Yeah.
it's
So,
like I'm just that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mikula even ends up being some kind of final boss. Like
I think it's lining up to be that. Yeah.
true form, Mikula is like some crazy beast.
It's
like,
Moog again.
Moog again. It's reskin, no changes.
Yeah.
It's just the exact same.
They just stretched the model over.
We
Moog.
get another like Morgut fight. Like, oh my god.
I think it should end in the snail fight.
foul tarnished. Another.
It's the snail. Does he
It's
have
like
any
slipping.
attack at all?
The snail?
Yeah.
It's just magic, I think.
Oh, it actually does have magic.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It just shoots magic at you.
Hmm.
God, but oh my God, Bloodborne. That was such a good moment though too, because he's completely Ludwig is like full beast form, and then like he sees his like old blade, the one that he used to use when he was a hunter, and he like picks it up and like he like stands up and he remembers who he is, and then like he knows he's like completely gone, so like he basically is like asking for an honorable death, and you have to kill him. But he holds the blade in front of him, and he can like, he's cutting off the horse part, and you can only see the human part, and it's like, holy shit! It's such an epic moment.
Jesus.
And the soundtrack in that part.
Oh, so good. Bloodborne was. I wish that game would get a sequel. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Elden Ring, if I'm being honest with myself, it's still the best one that From Software did. But Bloodborne was certainly a special game for me.
Did Bloodborne have an open ending?
There
Like,
were
Open for a sequel? Did it feel like?
Yeah. So there was like 3 endings. There was the ending where you realize that you're kind of trapped in the dream, and Gehrman says, "You fought well. I can release you," and he kills you, thus waking you up from the dream nightmare. And then there's an ending where you fight Gehrman, and you become the new, like,
Dream Master.
dream master of the hunters or whatever. And then there was an ending where if you eat all the like fetuses or whatever, umbilical cords, then you can fight the moon presence, which is like who's dreaming the dream, and you can end the dream for good. And that's like the quote unquote the best ending, because the one ending, which is like the easy ending because you don't have to fight any end bosses, the dream still continues. You're just not there anymore. The second one is like the evil ending because you become Lord of the Dream. And then the third one is like putting an end to it once and for all. So yes and no. Like it could go on, but if you did like the third ending, it's like over.
Well, because what I was thinking is like Sekiro, out of my knowledge, that's the one Souls game or From Software game where there was like it felt pretty hinted at that they're like, we might work on another game, because they like tease this whole how the child, the prince or whatever, he has to go to this other land, and like, you know, Sekiro's like, I'll go with you, and it's like,
Damn.
all right, and then
Then Elden Ring came out.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That was that.
That was
that. Elden Ring is their new property. You're going to be doing that for a long time. Every time you say hinting at like a sequel, my mind always goes to the end of Batman Begins, where he's like talking about escalation. He's like, take this guy, for instance. He's a bit of fan of the theatrics like you.
Those my card.
He's got a calling card, and it shows Joker, and he's like, I'll look into it. Like
That is like the
like that is the like biggest tee up for a sequel, like perfectly done.
You know
ever.
exactly who's coming. You know, yeah.
And then little did we know that we were gonna get like the best Batman movie ever after that. But
God,
just
I
go
love
back and watch that Nickelback trailer. I can't believe that's real.
that's so random.
For the viewers, there's a Nickelback Batman Begins trailer that's real. And,
Which song is it?
Look at this photo.
no, it's not. Look at this photograph. Damn it.
Nickelback did the Spider-Man song too.
I mean, the Nickelback's
There's a
good.
hero before us, not gonna stand in his way.
Is that the same one, maybe?
I don't think that one is in the Batman.
That would be bad. It's very, like, very low effort. Like, they bought the rights to it. They're
There's
like, we
a
gotta use
Batman
it.
before us.
You guys forget how like popular Nickelback was. You know what I
They're
mean? Like
huge. They're just
they were
memed
huge.
on.
And I think they were memed on because of how popular
They
they
really,
were.
honestly, if we're being real here,
Their music's
Nickelback
good.
is not that
Someday.
bad. Someday.
No, that's the name of the.
We all just want to be big rock stars.
I'm Batman.
Why so serious?
Oh shit. But timeline as to when you guys think this game's going to come out now. So they're dropping the trailer tomorrow.
I think
6:30 tomorrow morning.
We'll
Pacific
see. I'd
Standard.
be incredibly happy if they were like coming out in 1 month. But
Next
if
week.
it's anything
Playable
like
now.
if it's anything like their announcements in the past, I think that we'll probably be lucky to get it by holiday season.
And how much do you think it's going to be priced at?
20
30?
bucks.
20?
I would say 20 probably. That's pretty standard, I think, for the level of DLC they're making.
You
Do
think
you find it, Dylan?
Yeah.
You think like how do you think how big is this DLC going to be, you think?
I don't know. If it's
Cuz
anything
Elden
like
Ring's their biggest game.
yeah, if it's anything like their past trends, you usually can get a lot of I mean, you can get like 10 hours of story and like 20 hours for completionist, but Elden Ring is their biggest game. It's also their most profitable project they've ever done. I wouldn't be surprised if they like dropped a full-on 20-hour campaign for this.
It's the someday somehow. It's that one.
That's what he said.
That's like not even a good choice for
Batman
Begins. That's so random. Keep in mind, this was pre-Christopher Nolan. You know, like he was still relatively unknown at this time.
He was just
He only
follow the direction of some executive producer.
Like,
Guaranteed.
don't get me wrong. He put his heart and soul into those Batman movies, but he also said he only took that contract so he can make enough money to make Inception. He said that.
What is he fucking personally funding these?
Yeah, that's his studio.
Well, that's like Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
He personally funded those films?
He didn't know. He got it funded in partnership with Warner Bros. But you need a certain amount, like you make money as well as a certain amount of rep to do what you.
Capital.
He made like
some
a
skin
deal.
in the game.
Yeah, and so he agreed to make Batman so that he can make Inception. And then because he's so dedicated to his craft, he put his heart and soul into the Batman series. But he only did it so he could make Inception.
Denis Villeneuve.
That's
he
a 10-year
only did
detour.
He only did Blade Runner 2049 so he could do Dune.
Yeah.
Same thing. And that's WB as well. So maybe it's WB is like,
give us one of these projects
Yeah.
and then maybe.
This is a guarantee, like can't miss project. You do that, and then we'll fund your
Which
next
is
one.
funny because Blade Runner flopped hard.
I love that movie.
And I loved that
I didn't
movie.
think it was bad.
It wasn't bad at all. In fact, the critics loved it. It just didn't make money.
With Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
I just think at the time it probably came out, I think people were just so done with like remakes, like or
Well, it was
like
a sequel.
sequels.
Yeah.
You know, like I know it just. I think
I
people
think
are
the
so
cyberpunk
done.
genre, it's bigger now because of the game, but I think cyberpunk as a genre was always kind of niche anyways.
Yeah.
So hard to say. But how do we get
So
off on that tangent?
you'd be excited for 1 month. You would be excited for 1 month out that the Elden Ring drops.
Realistically, I'm thinking November.
November
Yeah.
this year. What are your thoughts? I'm thinking it's going to be playable now.
Manifest
Download now. Get our game pass or battle pass.
Battle Pass.
Enjoy our 3 new dungeons.
Not only
Oh God.
is this free, or not only is this out now, it's free to anyone who's level 713.
And named William.
And you're like, oh,
Oh my god! I did it.
we know you bought that rune, so we're gonna hack your account.
And there's one other guy named
That did the
William.
exact same thing.
Same first and last name as you, and they have
Yeah.
713
They're like,
legit.
Sorry, you got this close, but didn't quite roll it.
The other guy looks just like you. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah.
He just doesn't have glasses. That's the only difference.
I want to make it clear though. I did pay for I paid $3 whatever it was to get the last levels, but I got to level 450 legit.
That's more than I would ever commit to one.
So I
character.
could. It was literally just a quality of life thing, so I didn't have to respec ever. But I could literally whatever build I was running, I had enough levels to be 99. Whatever affected that build.
Yeah.
I just got the last level so that I never had to respec. And then I beat the game 10 times. I earned that 713, dude. New game plus 80.
I've
every
beaten the
quest
game.
in the game done. I have done every fucking quest in that game.
3, 4.
Every
You use
single
secret
one.
one?
What secret one?
You know,
Well, do you?
The death
it's
route?
secret.
Do you know the secret quest?
I don't know the way.
It's
I
the
don't
one
know the
where
way.
you fight the actual Erd tree. It grows legs.
There is a legitimate guide on Reddit that somebody that the community had put together, and it is long, and I have 100%ed it.
Going back to your question though, I think I would wish for it to be like coming out next month. I don't think so. I think
It might even be like April
I'm gonna say August.
2025. I'm just saying.
My guess is August.
We'll see. I'll be pleasantly surprised if you're correct.
What's chat think? I think it's going to drop and it's going to be playable now. They're going to have a whole co-op online experience. They'll have a game pass or a battle pass that launches with it. And they'll have like very balanced PvP. And then they'll have like a Fortnite crossover event, I think, at launch
Sounds, yeah.
of the DLC
Star
where
Wars?
you can play
There's
as Spider-Man.
100%.
I think that's like 90%.
I think it's going to be online PvP only. I don't think there's going to be any story.
The end boss is a 1v1 match against another player.
Yeah.
Against
the current against the current Elden Lord in the game. You have to 1v1, but you can only play him and you have to queue up because there's a few million other players that want to play. What if
I would be so pissed. I would be like that would literally put From Software as my favorite developer to like my least favorite in like a matter of one day.
What if they came out with like a matchmaking system for like they came out with a dungeon that was like optional content. It was just like their dungeon, but you walked in and it would matchmake you with other players who were also doing it. And then it was like there was dual mechanics where you had to like go in and like clear or whatever and progress through together, and it was made easier. That would never happen, but
I'm not interested in that
at all. Me neither.
I would rather.
I think that type of game would be very successful, but
Well, I would rather them just say, okay, let's do co-op the whole game. Like, let's just have that be. I'd rather them do that in Elden Ring than
yeah,
here's a specific dungeon.
have fun.
I mean, that's up their alley, though. They don't, they're always like, you can only play multiplayer when we
Tell you
want
to.
you to.
Yeah.
And
That's true, actually.
after that, goodbye. Say goodbye to your friends.
What if tomorrow, like, they drop the trailer and it's like Tencent, From Software, now a 10-cent company. They've
if they
been
were, like-
acquired by like one of the most cancerous
games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like
Amazon Game Studios.
just like the most like because they're making a mobile. Like, what if that was part of their announcement that they were acquired?
The
by some
announcement is
gross
of an
studio?
Amazon TV series
It's nothing to do with the DLC.
called Ring of Power.
Not Rings of Power, because that's already taken.
Just one
Elden Ring of Power.
Elden Ring of Power with the same cast. Written by George R. R. Martin.
Who do you think, out of all the From Software protagonists, who do you think is the strongest? Do you think it's the Elden?
I think Sekiro. He's an actual character.
I was just saying.
He has dialogue. He actually has.
I just have
I feel like they could do something with Vike.
I'm talking about the protagonist specifically, like the player character.
I don't think any of the Souls games.
That's
would
why I
have one.
think Sekiro. He's the only one. That
I
talks.
don't think that he would be able to beat lore wise.
Oh, hell no.
I thought you were going way different with the question.
No, I'm asking who do you think would be the most powerful From Software protagonist?
I thought you were saying who could like carry a show.
Oh,
That's what
100%.
And I
was
was like
thinking.
Sekiro because he's the only one that has
100% Sekiro.
No, not. I don't think Sekiro.
I think it has to be Elden Ring because I feel like the power
Yeah.
is the highest in Elden Ring, especially with the weapon art.
Like
It's
what
insane.
you're fighting.
Oh yeah.
You're fighting.
You're fighting gods. You know?
Yeah, extraterrestrial like eldritch beings.
I think the Elden Lord, the Tarnished, is probably the strongest. I would argue that the Hunter from Bloodborne is. You're fighting
But
gods in that
how
game too.
strong is he in real life outside of the dream?
That's true.
How
We don't
strong is
know.
that pistol?
We can't gauge that because the whole game takes
Is he
takes
like?
place in the nightmare.
Is he completely like?
Oh,
his
it's
muscles have
Fantasyland. Atrophied.
atrophied. Thank you.
Is this like Spy Kids 3D when you get out of the game and all the kids aren't what their characters are at all? And they're
My
weak as hell?
God, you remember the fucking plot for Spy Kids 3D?
I do.
That was a good movie.
Jesus.
One of
Was
my
it?
favorite parts. I
the
thought it was
first 3D movie I've ever
hilarious.
seen.
I thought it was hilarious when Frodo,
Frodo dies?
in that game.
He's like level 900.
He literally is like, I'm the guy. And it's like this big, like, holy shit, this is the guy. And then he goes into the final arena and then gets
Immediately.
blown up, nuked. And his last word is like, oops. And then he just dies. That was one of the funniest.
Is this when you fight the thumbs?
That was the
No,
first
that's
movie.
The thumbs are on their side in this one.
It's been probably about 15 years, maybe 20 years since I've seen
Should we
Spy
have-
Kids.
Should
but-
Spy Adults come out?
No, God, no.
Why not?
Because right when you said that, I'm thinking Dwayne the Rock Johnson doing
No.
just like a terrible cameo.
Just their regular cast.
According to
Oh God, just literally remaking it with the same people.
Yeah, bring them back
It's a
as
sequel.
adults.
it's not a remake.
Because
sequel.
Machete,
Or, yeah,
they got
whatever.
Danny Trejo. You know,
Danny Trejo.
According to thegamer.com, they ranked it number 7 is the Slayer of Demons from Demon Souls. Number 6 would be the Chosen Undead from Dark Souls. Number 5 would be the Ashen One from Dark Souls 3. Number 4 would be Bearer of the Curse from Dark Souls 2. Number 3 would be Sekiro.
wow.
Number 2 would be the Hunter. And then number 1 is the
Tarnished.
Tarnished.
I didn't expect Sekiro to be up there that much, but I guess
He pairs everything you got.
Well, he
Bing,
has
bing,
a
bing,
sword. His sword is like death incarnate. So
You also got to think of the caliber. I think they based that decision on the types of bosses you fight.
yeah, you fight a god, you fight a dragon. You know,
bing. Now, I want Elden Ring to be out tomorrow. Let's just put that
Elden Ring's out right now.
DLC.
Okay. You got to clarify.
That's what
these
I want.
things. Yeah.
you want it to be like, or at least like I was so happy when we were watching that PlayStation showcase and God of War was like, by the way, this free expansion next week. And it's like, oh, what?
I don't know. That would be awesome if they did that.
It's not gonna fucking
I just
happen.
don't
dude.
see it happening.
Think of the lamest, most boring, most honest path. That's the one they're taking.
They're gonna say. I think that will be lucky. Like I said, I think we'll be lucky if we get it by holiday season this
Dude.
year.
I'm hoping August.
I think they probably have one person in marketing in that whole company.
No,
It's like they just have built
they
a
just
brand.
develop games.
Exactly.
That's all they do,
And we love them for it.
and they're good at it.
But there's a part of me that likes to be teased.
Yeah, well, don't we all?
Well, you're gonna be teased
No,
tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. I'll be teased tomorrow.
I hate
then I
being
want it.
teased.
Yeah, I hate being teased. I'm actually saying the opposite. I like to be given my stuff.
I just need to be. I just need to have it here and now.
I just need to finish.
What
I
if
just
they
need to
came out?
finish.
What if they came out with the DLC and it was $100? I would buy it.
I'd buy it.
$100.
Mhm.
I would need to know what it is.
It's
first.
PvP only. I would not buy it.
Like I have a lot of loyalty to From Software, but not just blind dumb loyalty.
You get one. Like I said, you get one,
Yeah.
and then
I'll
That would
even
be
forgive people after one, depending on.
well,
the
you get one
severity.
for me to be like blind about it, like where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you're making it. It's gonna be a fun game. I'll definitely.
Oh,
check
you
it
mean
out.
so like From Software has earned at least one blind loyalty?
Yeah, where it's like,
from
okay,
you.
I'll trust you, and then I'll go in.
And then if
Especially
they
with
fail,
Elden
then
Ring.
they lose
And then
their-
it's like, okay, now I'm watching you with an eye.
No.
Always.
That's how I think that's pretty fair. That's how I felt probably about Mass Effect, about BioWare.
Yeah.
They had one from me and then they lost it, and I luckily didn't pre-order Anthem because of it.
You see what Bioware's up to lately?
No, I don't really care.
No, I don't.
It doesn't sound like anything good from what
Did you see the recent comments of like their new survival game or whatever?
new survival game?
I'm pretty sure it's a survival game that they're making, and it's
Dragon Age? I thought they were working on Dragon Age.
I thought they were too.
And then
Maybe
Mass
it-
Effect.
It's Ark, but in Dragon Age universe.
They were talking about it, and he was saying basically they're only going to charge $40 for it.
Okay, so
Are you sure this is BioWare?
I'm pretty sure.
Is it Obsidian? Avowed?
No.
new
While you look that
BioWare
up,
new game?
we wanted to talk about Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Dreadwolf.
Well, while Kyle looks this up, and we'll put a quick pin in it once he finds his answer. Fantastic Four, we were right. That leak was correct. Pedro Pascal is now Mr. Fantastic.
You know, we're going to be talking about this in like 2 years when we see the, or 3 years,
I
whenever
mean-
this happens, and be, he actually did a good job.
I like
He
Pedro.
probably is.
Yeah.
But I just, as of right now, he does not sell. He does not
Mr.
sell
Fantastic to me.
Mr. Fantastic.
I'd be more interested in seeing who's going to play Doctor Doom. It's weird. It's a period piece too. I guess it takes place in like the 60s.
That's what it
What?
looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how is he going to have like any of
Or
his
is that
tech?
just rumor?
That's
based on
rumor.
that
That's
picture.
rumor, but people are saying that seems like it's going to be pretty.
But so we have Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm.
I think she's great casting.
They have the guy who played, I had his name right before we
The
started talking
metalhead
about
Oh,
from
no.
Stranger Things. God, I hate this. I had it. But yeah, he's playing Johnny Storm, and then Ben Grimm, the Thing, is played by the guy from The Bear. Or no, it's some other guy.
Yeah, I think that's like a 75% good casting.
Yeah.
I'd have nothing against Pedro Pascal, but I think that from what I've seen from him, he doesn't lend like a good Mr. Fantastic to me just yet. We'll see what happens. I mean, this is a big role to step into. This Mr. Fantastic is like has all the potential to be like Tony Stark level big if done correctly. And I just don't know if I buy that 100% just yet. I really hate that they didn't just continue on with John Krasinski because now his whole time is just a meme.
Joseph Quinn.
Joseph Quinn.
Is the guy that played the Rocker.
Yeah.
And then Eben Moss Backrack is the guy that's playing the Thing.
What?
He's in The Bear.
His last name
He is in The Bear.
Backrack?
Bachrach. Backrack.
Baccarat.
Backrack.
Backrack?
He was in The Punisher?
He was in the TV show. So now, this is messing with the canon. I'm just kidding.
He's all CG. But yeah,
Nightingale was the Biowork film, and it actually came out today. Anyway, sorry.
I looked it up and all I saw was Dreadwolf, which is a Dragon Age game. So I have no idea. Maybe this is like their B team that did this.
Oh, maybe.
Like,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'd be interested to see how they cast Victor Von Doom. That'll be the more important thing for me.
Could you guys tell in that image, was that supposed to be like Doom in the astronaut suit? Or I think that's Ben Grimm.
I think it was, yeah. That didn't look like Doom to me.
No.
But yeah, so that was officially announced, the casting there.
Have you seen that meme where it's Pedro Pascal and they photoshopped his face onto Thanos and he's like collecting all the stones and he has like Star Wars, Last of Us, Game of Thrones, Marvel. Like he has all of like the fandoms. He's slowly
And he has
conquering
DC.
them all. DC, like he's slowly conquering all the fandoms.
That's awesome. I like that.
So, I mean, I'm not super excited, but I'm not excited. I want to see the trailer because I like Pedro.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. And like I said, we're gonna be sitting here when we watch it and go, "Hey, he did a great job."
Yeah.
But it just on the surface, it's one of
I
those
do
that's
hope.
Like, huh,
My biggest thing though is I hope that they're putting good writers on this movie, not whatever crap
their A team.
was in
Their A team sucks now.
Miss,
they need a
the
new team.
Marvels. Yeah.
Whoever did Loki, use
put
them.
whoever Loki, and that's perfect. If it's a period piece, that's kind of like that
And
sci-fi.
Loki, they had like very intelligent writing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's perfect for them to throw onto this for this guy. I yes, use them.
Did they announce who's doing it? Like
I don't know.
Who's writing it?
Yeah.
Writing or directing.
Who is writing and directing?
While Kyle looks that up.
How do these things get leaked?
Well, that was SAG after the Actors Guild,
Yeah, that wasn't.
Screen Actors Guild. Just a big whoopsie by their
Whoops.
marketing department,
Went live with the tweet.
and they're like, "Oh shit!"
There was I seen some like other people where they like it was someone running for a political party, where they had their assistant queue up the full next week's list of tweets, which is like random shit, and they timed them. They didn't set the time. They like queued them all up as like drafts or whatever, and I guess something happened and they all went out at the same time. So like there a whole week's worth of tweets that were like very like, hey, we're checking out this group today, and come join it, whatever.
Just
Like
all went out.
all went out at the same time, and it was just like, oh my god, this shit's Everybody tries to over automate their lives. It's crazy.
So that's probably why that fan or not fan art, but that art was released is because they're like, well, I mean, people think they know about it. Should we just tell them? Yeah, let's just announce it.
Interesting.
Finding anything, Kyle?
Yeah. The director is Matt Shakeman. He, so far in Marvel, he was the showrunner for WandaVision.
Okay.
He also did a couple episodes of Game of Thrones and a bunch of TV shows, it looks like. But as far as Marvel goes, he did all of the WandaVision.
WandaVision wasn't
Stuff.
bad. There was some flaws in the writing, but like as far as the show itself,
That doesn't get me super hyped, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like, I didn't dislike WandaVision, but it wasn't like, this person needs to do all of Marvel. Like,
I would be more worried if it was like this guy did Miss Marvel. I'd be like, this guy did Secret Invasion.
Thor 11. Oh God, please not Secret Invasion.
Yeah, so at least he did one of the okay Marvel shows.
Well, it's funny is like, I don't even know. I feel like everybody's process might be different. There's some processes that work better than others, but like, remember how hyped people were and I never understood it because I never really had seen his stuff, but like Taika Waititi. Like,
Yeah.
people were like, when he was announced, it was like, oh my God. And then he ended up just kind of creating some really average films.
like
I mean, he was so fucking. I remember it was like everyone was simping so hard, and I'm like, all right.
Thor Ragnarok was, even though I think I've expressed this before, I
guys
honestly think it was overrated.
Yes.
But
I don't think so.
that was
don't think so?
that was very beloved by the fan base. I didn't like that they took such. If they'd have done that to any other Thor story, I would have been okay. But like that's like a really like intense, dark story arc. That
Dude, it
they
was sad
really,
as shit what was happening.
But they almost made a joke out of
Yeah.
it. Like Thor is almost like a meme now. He's not like the same Thor.
Well, I felt
his
like,
life was destroyed.
And then they pumped that up to like 50 in Love and Thunder.
Dude.
but see, I don't know how much of that, because the thing with Thor Ragnarok that I feel like you guys are doing now, is you're adding the context of Infinity War and Love and Thunder. That movie by itself, because how much control do you think Taika had of Infinity War and Endgame? Like with Fat Thor with the eye.
oh no,
Like,
yeah. So
because Taika set it up to where Thor was on a ship with his family, he
Yeah.
lost an eye, and it was a dark ending.
I felt that way about Thor though before that movie Endgame even came out.
I also think Fat Thor is a potentially phenomenal storyline because you see him truly going through the emotions of what just fucking happened.
Yeah.
But I never felt like, I mean, his planet is getting consumed. His dad is dead. He gets thrown into another fucking world where he's like totally given up on everything and lost, and like he's been dumped. Like everything bad has happened to this guy. He's lost everything, and he's like the most powerful character in all this stuff, and like he can't even control anything around him, and it just came across as like this like. I never felt the full depth, and maybe it was a limitation on his acting or something, and I couldn't buy fully into it. But I never felt the emotion of or the weight of what was really going on because it was like I was constantly flooded with cheap, gag jokes.
But I feel like that was set up to be the next movie, but then it was undercut by Infinity War and Endgame.
I actually think
Like,
the
in my
opposite.
opinion.
I think it's propped up because of where it came out at. That, to me, that era right there was the best of Marvel. And I think it's
Yeah.
propped up because it came
And I
out
think
in that.
the best version of Thor we've ever gotten is Infinity War Thor.
Well, I do think, and
Yes.
there
Yeah.
he's sad
good
and
point.
he's more emotional, and that was built up from Ragnarok.
Yeah, but he acted different in Infinity War than he did in Ragnarok.
I think I think it makes sense to me. Ragnarok
I'm not saying
to
the arc
Infinity
doesn't
War,
make sense. The arc makes perfect sense. I just don't like the emotional tone they went with during it. And I think that it's okay to be like have some levity and but Thor comes across as like bipolar because of how yanked around his character
Well, definitely, I see.
gets.
I think that in Love and Thunder, but I don't think Ragnarok.
I think Ragnarok, it was too much of a tonal shift from and I'm not saying that obviously it worked for a majority of the fans, but like he went from, it was too much. The shift was it wasn't gradual enough. It was like Thor went from, the Thor we know and his first like 5 outings to all of a sudden in Ragnarok, it was like, they really played up the fact that Chris Hemsworth is good at comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And he played it very well. And don't get me wrong, when I watched that movie, there's a lot of moments that I think are hilarious. I love some of the comedy in that. But I would have much rather, I would have rather have kept that kind of stuff to like the Guardians or like, I think there are characters that just fits better with than Thor.
Okay.
That's me. And then Love and Thunder,
took it to like 12.
Love and Thunder did it the way they did it because, and again, I was a fan of Love and Thunder, like after it came out, like I liked it. But the reason they went in the direction they went is because they're like, oh man, people loved Ragnarok. Let's amp that up to 10. And I enjoyed that movie, but on the flip side of that, I was one of the few that did because of how far removed.
Yeah, there's
Thor
still
became.
fun movies to watch. Like we could be critical. Like there's still Thor: Love and Thunder is still like a fun because it's set in the universe that we all know and appreciate and love and stuff like that. But and maybe I'm just like a simp for power, but I would have liked to see a little bit more on Odin's death. Like in Ragnarok, like in the
You just have a hard on
like,
for Odin.
I have simp for power, like I said. So and then like. I don't know. Hela was cool, but she was just kind of like cranked to 11 in terms of just like one track mind. I don't know. I thought she could have been.
I also didn't like how they killed off main characters with like little to no remorse. There was no
their entire army
in Ragnarok. They killed his whole crew.
His entire army.
See, you don't even remember that because they made it such a not big deal in that movie.
They weren't a big deal.
That's not their fault. That's the writer's fault. They could have made them a big deal because they're so much better.
Well, yeah,
because
Sif is she's a big deal.
And then they made a joke out of her in the next movie, and he's like, you don't actually go to Valhalla or whatever if you don't die in battle. And she's like, what? She's like bleeding out. Like I don't know. I just feel like there's, it could have been, and then they merged the Planet Hulk kind of esque storyline in that, and I felt like that could have been done a little bit better.
Do you think we'll ever get a Hulk movie?
Yeah, it's coming. I think.
Yeah,
they just got the rights back, right?
They did.
I think it's coming, and I think it's going to be probably the best Hulk film that we've ever had.
What are they going to do
that
with
would be my guess.
How are they going to handle Mark Ruffalo's character arc to like revert him?
I don't think.
Are they going to revert him back somehow?
I don't think the next Hulk that we see is probably. I think it's going to be like almost like Joker, like where it's like
its own thing.
It's
not
its
a
own
part of
thing.
I think it is going to be a part of the.
You think
MCU,
so?
Though.
I think what the fans would love to that could just reignite a lot of passion is just an all-out fucking, not an origin story. For the love of God, don't do another origin story. We've seen too many of that shit. But like when it's just Hulk totally unhinged, maybe some alien planet, maybe something on Earth, but like just annihilating with the best CGI.
I'm over Smart Hulk.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, so that's why I'm wondering.
I think they can do it in a way that like Hulk needs the power, and his power levels are capped as Smart Hulk, and so he needs to fully embrace the beast. That would be entertaining and pretty fun, I think.
They could have him get married. They could kill off his family. That might be it.
Then he fully embraces the beast, and he basically takes on all the Avengers and all of Earth. And
get a World War, or what is that one called? That's World War Hulk?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what they do with X-Men now as well.
X-Men 97.
The crazy thing about MCU is all of their best characters were not owned by them. So they had to launch the MCU with all these B-level characters who now have rightfully been pushed up to like AAA status characters. But like Iron Man was a B-level character. But they had no choice because they didn't have Spider-Man. They didn't have Fantastic Four. They didn't have X-Men. And now that Marvel has all of those characters back, their potential is like unlimited. Some of the best story arcs that have ever been written have been X-Men stories, Fantastic Four stories, and they just weren't allowed to do it because they didn't have the characters. And so they were forced to make good stories out of all these other characters that people didn't really even, say for like Thor and Captain America, people didn't really care about those characters,
Yeah.
And so like if they just released like one really fucking good X-Men movie and Fantastic Four movie, that would be enough to save the MCU because it's dying right now.
I do hope they put their best writers, they put those low-key writers on and know their value. Like, and stop promoting whoever else is writing these movies.
Chat GPT.
Well, do you wonder, like, what movies do you think we had that came out that were affected by that writer strike?
Literally, probably anything in the last 3 years.
So
Like, so
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Any show. I mean, think about how dull. Like, Oppenheimer came out. That was good, right? Barbie movie. That was good. I never ended up seeing it, but everyone that saw it said it was really good. Movies have been kind of dull. TV shows, I haven't heard anybody come up, like when you see somebody like, oh my God, you have to watch
Like
this
Game of
show.
Thrones, Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
You
like
know, that level of like.
it always feels like there should, at least historically my whole life, there's always like one show going on that like, that if you throw flip a coin into a room, you're going to find, 40% of the people are watching it at
The
that
first
time.
was like X-Files. And then
Right? Yeah. And
and
it
then,
just
like,
is
Lost.
evolved.
Yeah.
and then, like,
Lost was
yeah.
a great
Walking
example.
Dead.
Walking
Walking
Dead.
Dead, yeah.
Yes.
Game of
And
Thrones, of course.
I don't know if
dominated
we
everything.
have one of those right now. I don't know if like the way. I also feel like TV shows are different now.
I would
too.
argue,
Like
I guess, Stranger
Things.
Things. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
It was
But-
pretty...
That's done.
No.
Yeah, it's
It's
in
not.
my mind. It's done.
Well, there you heard
It's
it.
like
Yeah.
The Walking Dead. It's turning into The Walking Dead. Well, like,
There's
what are they
one
gonna
more
do? They're gonna
season.
are they gonna be in fucking high school and they're all 35 years old?
Did you watch the last season?
I did. Yes.
You know how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Terribly.
The upside down's coming to the right side up.
Oh no.
Oh, God.
So they're going to be in high school? How? High school's destroyed.
No more school. School's out forever.
School's out.
Oh, summer. Alice
But-
Cooper playing them.
Yeah, so Stranger Things, sure, but I just feel like we've had such. Here's the thing too. Back in the day, like Game of Thrones was maybe a little bit different but it was still once a year you got a season. Stranger Things, we had like what, a 2-year gap?
You know what I also think it is? It's not that show quality has really diminished that much. I think in a lot of ways it's improved,
Great
but there's
content.
way too much now.
Yeah.
So like people up until like all the streaming services took over, you were very like you had like 5 shows to choose from, and one of them was like the one.
Yeah.
Now it's like you can have 15 different shows, high quality, but you're so all over the place. You're not going to get a lot
and
of
to
following.
add to that mix, you now have anime. Look at Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
It's huge. Anybody who like they don't even need to know about anime and they're like, yeah, Attack on Titan.
Everybody
Mhm.
knows it, even if they don't know it.
Me.
Yeah.
No.
I know Attack, and I never seen it. Don't know anything about anime.
Everyone's seen pictures of those giant, meat creatures.
Yeah,
Like
the
they don't have to
Titans.
know anything about it.
There's
to know
things
that.
that like transcend their genre, and I don't know if we have like Stranger Things. I think is probably the most applicable, but like I said, there's been such droughts in their cadence of release that I don't know if you can equate that.
Like I feel like there's been a few that have tried. Like for one that comes to my mind is I remember hearing a lot about White Lotus. I never watched it, but I remember where I worked. Like I remember
Everyone was watching it.
people were talking about it, but I haven't really heard of anything since.
Ballers on HBO with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes.
I don't know, man. It's interesting. So I think there's just waiting. I think there's a perfect opportunity. But like Kyle said, there's just so much fucking content out there. I'd rather have, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing that more people are, you would think that maybe more people are involved, but maybe the quality, I don't know if the quality
I don't
has
think it's a
dropped.
quality issue.
It really
I think
isn't.
it's just a
So much.
phenomenon, cultural phenomenon.
too much. Like, because I like I said, I would argue that TV shows now are much higher quality and better written than they were in the 90s and 2000s. Like, on average. They're just like, now it's, back then it was like rare to see a movie actor even dare touch a TV show because it was just a much lower level.
Yeah.
You know, now it's very common for people to go interchangeably back and forth because TV has just gotten so much. It's higher budget, it's higher quality. It's just too much. Like I think that's the problem with Marvel. Don't get me wrong, they have diminished in quality as well, but there's so much they're losing it.
Well, and now we are on the edge,
The precipice.
of AI, and I think this AI stuff, specifically with like the text prompt into creating a video. What's the name of that project? Sora. Something like that?
Yeah.
By OpenAI. Some of the stuff that I've seen from and seeing their text prompt can completely transform a lot of B-roll or just like transition shots for these films with extremely high quality. I mean, just think about what it's required. Like, let's say you want to get a shot for your film, right? And like, you just watch a film and just fast forward and pause it at any point. You're like, okay, someone had to design this set. How much work, how much manpower went into designing it, to translating the director's vision into something that could be written down that someone can then act on and build a landscape for and get it all set up, rent the space to do so, buy the props to do so, set it up, operate the equipment to film it, get the lighting, the time involved. Like, think about all that time, and then think about literally typing a text prompt, hitting enter, and in a matter of minutes, you have 4K footage of exactly what is in your vision.
There's going to be an animator strike well. There's going to have to set some ground rules on what you can
That
and
way,
can't do.
It's
Spider-Verse is going to be pushed out 6 more years for part 2.
It'll get canceled. It'll get shelved because it'll never get.
But like, we think we have a lot of content now. Think about how much content's going to be on the internet that like is just literally AI.
It's
unleashed.
almost kind of scary in a way. Like seeing how well the Sora program works when it works. Like it's like practically indistinguishable from like a real video. It's almost like we're gonna get to the point where it's gonna be impossible to know what's real and what isn't.
It's crazy.
And it's like that didn't really hit me until I started watching these videos where I'm like, even like the deep fake stuff, like it didn't scare me.
There's an uncanny valleyness.
Yeah, and like AI as a tool is like I always thought it was more fascinating than scary, but seeing this video, I'm like, wow, so they can just do whatever they want.
And
Like,
it's here.
And it's here. It's not in the future.
And think about where, like,
It's only going to get better.
They always meme, like, where we were a year ago, right? Which is the Will Smith eating spaghetti, which is, like, kind of crazy images. 1 year later, we're here.
And it's
1 year.
Practically flawless.
Like, and the only there's some of those clips that I see, because there's been so many more to come out that I'm, like, watching it, and I'm like, I don't see what's not real.
No.
Like, this looks so good. In fact, it looks almost, maybe it's too good. That, like, it's too perfect.
It's too clean.
Yeah.
Like,
because, like, did you see the one where they created a movie trailer for, like, an alien, like a 30-year-old alien?
No.
On the surface of, like, Mars, on a surface of a sandy planet? That was, like, the text prompt that they provided. And it was like this guy wearing like a helmet and he was like running. Now his running looked a little awkward, but the close-up shots of his face and the shadows and the landscapes that it built on this foreign planet were unfucking believable.
The one that gets me.
Unbelievable.
Oh, I found it here. This one gets me. It's a dog. The text prompt was like a window surrounded by colorful buildings in Brno, Italy, and a Dalmatian comes out. See if you can just go to Sora. It's like on their main page. Oh, there it is right there.
Let me mute this here.
Yeah.
I'll share my second screen. So here it is.
Like,
Oh man.
that's crazy that you give it a prompt and it does something that well.
And it's like maybe like look at the shadowing. Look
Yeah.
at the shadowing of this.
Like,
texture.
yes, when you blow it up and you look at it, okay, maybe you could pick out some things. But, like, that's pretty crazy.
Find that space one.
Like it's insane.
Just go to their
Is this it? Open
channel.
AI Sora videos. The golden
Cat.
retrievers. Have you seen this one?
Giant Cat King. I want to. We need to do that one.
4 days
Very
ago.
top.
You've seen this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just like. Now their faces kind of look like they're changing sizes a little bit, but like, if this was shared in a group chat,
You wouldn't think twice.
you wouldn't
Yeah,
think
unless
to know it's AI.
You wouldn't be looking for the flaws unless you were told it's AI. And then you'd be like, oh, okay, I can kind of see this and that. But if you're like, oh, look at my dogs, you're like, oh, that's cute. And then you wouldn't think about it.
This one. So it's like he's on an astronaut. Like the text prompt was, he's create me a movie trailer.
For
So his
a
walk
mitten
looks a little
astronaut.
awkward. But like look at the visual fidelity. This guy doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's wild.
This guy does not exist. Like look at the detail on his face.
Yeah. That looks like a real person.
Like, what engine does this AI use? I didn't read that. Like,
I don't think there is an engine. I think it's just a data model of combining
just-
images.
it's combining images to create. That's
Do the
Wild.
The Giant Cat King.
Which one?
He's at the very top. Yes. First one. Yes. 74 views.
Well, how have they not blown up? Like, what?
1 day ago, and this has 74 views. So like this is totally ridiculous,
And
right?
what's crazy too is like that looks like Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, like,
And this can be generated by a text. Like, think about like the effort involved to create this before, just manually. Yeah, it's not like it looks ridiculous, but like if your film was designed like
wow,
this,
this looks actually very menacing.
Yeah.
That would scare the hell out of me. If just-
Giant cat.
and the way he steps forward and starts walking towards him at the end here.
now it'd be interesting how they do audio. I don't know if they
What's the
have you
first
seen
one,
this though.
Billy?
So this is the stuff that's bad. So here, watch this.
All the flame.
Pay attention to their hands. Pay attention to their hands.
Yeah, I saw
yeah.
it.
Like,
Like,
it's-
kind of.
That's unreal, right?
What's their first video?
And her face is a little creepy too. This
Like a witch.
First one?
No, the very first one they uploaded.
Oh, this is the one that went viral, super viral. She's walking through. So like what was the text prompt?
prompt.
Here we go. A stylish woman walks down a Tokyo street filled with warm, glowing neon and animated city signage. She wears a black leather jacket, long red dress, and black boots, and carries a black purse. She wears sunglasses and red lipstick. She walks confidently and casually. The street is damp and reflective, creating a mirror effect of colorful lights. Many pedestrians walk about. That's the prompt. 2 or 3 sentences, and they get this. Look at the reflection. Look at the detail of reflections. And this guy's kind of walking a little weird. You can
Her
kind of,
ankles are a little weird.
Yeah.
If you look at her ankles,
they're
But like if you
growing
didn't
and
know,
you wouldn't think about it.
you
unless
wouldn't even.
We're looking specifically for the flaws because we
Yeah,
know
look
it's
at
AI.
that sign. Like that Japanese sign right there. That looks like a real street sign.
This one.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the tech detail on the buildings.
The reflection in the.
Her freckles and like zits.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
It's just it is.
This is now.
This
Imagine
is now.
where this will be.
Exactly. This doesn't end. Like this is
How many
not
views does this have?
5,000.
What?
Well, remember
It's-
it probably went viral on Twitter.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
how many people.
I don't know
actually
if
saw the original
OpenAI
video.
Sora Videos is actually their
The
channel.
official channel.
I think this might be like
Source. Yeah, it was posted on their website.
Mm.
I think the people are just ripping it, but
Yeah.
But yeah, that's scary.
That's the
but
first time I've ever had feelings of maybe a little intimidation
Like imagine just the world of
from
like
AI. That's the first time I've ever felt that. I was watching these videos.
anybody can be you.
well, so that Kyle was talking about this earlier, and you follow Pirate Software, right? That guy
Yeah.
that does the. He talked about in one of his videos about how he has a agreement with his banks, all of his banking stuff, that any transaction he has to be in person
Yeah, you do not do anything over the phone for me. Is his agreement?
because he could be duped too easily.
Yeah, and they set that up with him, but they do that with his bank because of how easy it is, especially his voice. How easy it is for someone to program his voice, and all they need to
crazy.
know is a few bits of information about him, and they could do anything they want over the phone.
So like yeah, anybody can be you. Anybody could make any type of video of you. Like so, like catfish. Somebody could catfish somebody else. They could put you in porn.
Like
They could blackmail you.
wasn't there a whole thing with that streamer chick that she was getting
Yes.
she was getting deep faked onto like
porn stars and stuff?
yeah, and like it was a huge deal, and
Like just imagine that would be so
imagine how devastating that would be
Yeah.
to have your likeness put onto something like that,
and your family sees it and like
and they don't. Your grandma's not gonna know that's AI.
She's like, "What is this AI?
How could you do this to me? like, like that's
You're lying."
you're
I just don't know how we're going to have to almost relearn how we make assessments about people and things that we read online. Like,
Yeah.
there's just going to be a massive learning curve. Like, okay, not only can I just see something posted online, I have to really pay attention to the source. Is it posted by the person that sent this? Or otherwise, is it fake?
Yeah.
And
I
don't know.
when we rip our episodes to put it on our Spotify and all our stuff, it's ironic because I've gotten so lazy that like the last 30 episodes, the description has always been written by AI, and their AI, their AI, it listens to our episode and it writes a description based on that. Most of the time it hits the mark. Every now and then it's pretty wild. Like it gravitates towards things that we didn't even really talk about that much, But I always put a disclaimer. I always say the following description is written by AI because I don't want anyone to think otherwise. Like, I don't know if that's silly of me to do that, but I always put that disclaimer on there because it's just weird. I'm using it strictly as a tool, but I want people to know I didn't write that. That was some AI that listened to us and wrote a description for it.
I think it's super valid.
How are we going to combat it?
I'm assuming that there will be these algorithms are going to have fingerprints through how they generate their models. There'll be, it's an algorithm, right? So there's some pattern to it. And I would assume that just like we have community notes on Twitter or something like that, where people can combat fake news by, limiting the spread of bad articles that are hey, factually incorrect. I think we will have embedded tools in our social media that says this has received a 17% AI score, this has received some.
Everything's gonna have to get rated like that.
The thing though,
just so we know,
is our current AI rating capabilities suck ass.
Yeah.
You can take anything written in GPT, you run it through something that says it can detect AI. It tells you this is about 40% chance.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
can't detect AI.
Yeah, it can't.
Imagine being in college right now.
Being a professor, you would not be able to trust anything.
Imagine being not only that, but I honestly think that universities need to know that these tools are not going away.
Yeah, you really think that you saying
at all, and you have to I don't know if you're going to be able to really especially with text, right? I don't know how you can confirm that. Now they have AI and anti-copyright stuff. Basically, they just saw how much you would repurpose from the internet, and they would check the top sites that kids would research from, and if they copy and pasted it, and it was pretty fine. You could at first it was totally blind. You would submit it, and then if you got flagged, you were fucked. Then they said, okay, we'll give you your score before you upload it so you can like revise it. And I'm like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. And then they can boom, you can make the assessment yourself. Now it's like, if I'm at university, because this is a tool. This is like Excel. This is like Outlook, Word, whatever tools that almost every job that uses a computer leverage.
Here's the thing to add on to Billy. Word, it now has a built-in
AI.
AI to like, we can
Finish that sentence
finish
for you.
it. We can make it a little bit more professional for you.
Yeah.
Enhance.
Yeah.
That exists now. Right. And so like, if I'm at university, I'm seriously going like, all right, how do we not only know that this change is here, but how do we embrace it? How do we train kids to leverage this to make themselves better?
How do we keep original thought? Like, that's the goal of a college now, is how do you teach people how to think instead of just use?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the problem with school. In my opinion, in general, school's always been about memorization.
So that's always been a thing,
Yeah.
right? How do you teach someone? And you don't really get to the point of like being taught how to think until you like get to college level.
Yeah, to
you
late
know?
college, yeah.
But it's going to be more important now than ever. And yes, use this tool, use it to help you. But as the tools get better, so should the expectations on you.
Yeah.
You know,
That's super valid. Right? Like before, I wouldn't be expected to transform thousands of rows of data in Excel or on paper. But now I have a tool like Excel. Now your expectation is you can do that.
yeah.
See,
Right.
so I wonder if they'd be like, okay, now you're
Write
gonna
a 20-page.
20-page essay, and it has you have to read through it, and it has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's going to be 20 pages. You can use Chat GPT.
I can see that being a very real course of action.
That way, it still
that-
forces the student to read through it to make sure that the topics and what it's writing makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, but like again though, then now you're taking something like just because you've written more doesn't make it more valuable, right? Like
yeah.
10 pages or two. I had many assignments in college where I had to write 10 pages.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wrote 20 pages if it would be twice as good. You know what I mean? Or like
But it's
my
like you
understanding
need
would
them
be,
to commit more time, I feel like.
I think it would be less about like page length and more about like you would need basically everything would be like a dissertation at a certain point. All right, maybe not, freshman level. Welcome to college.
Yeah.
Here's a
Dissertation.
but like I don't know how they would gauge the quality per se, but I
And the
do think
engagement.
that it is going to increase and the expectations on you are going to get a lot higher. It's the same, there's a lot of math now we have a lot of tools that help us better at math that like they just didn't expect students to know 50 years ago because they just couldn't.
I wonder, do you think we'll reach the point where maybe they get rid of essays? Because like this is just how I'm thinking about it. I'm going to online college, WGU. And here's the thing. Yes, I can write an essay with Chat GPT. But the kicker is I have to take a test.
Yeah.
And my quiz is based on my knowledge. You can't use Chat GPT. And so it's like, I wonder if they just say, you know what? Let's get the essays.
well,
They're becoming obsolete based on this tool, or I don't know.
at least in my experience, the essay has really not been about the source material. Like the context of what you're discussing or talking about is probably the least important part. I think why a lot of education gravitates towards that is because you have to take in this much information, consolidate it down, organize your thoughts, and put together an argument and a conversation, or what was the type of essay writing, like declarative, or I don't remember what the term was, but basically like some kind of discussion type essay where you've organized your thoughts, you've broken it down, compiled it down into grouped it. Like there is a lot of critical thinking that goes into how you're going to organize that. That's out the window now.
Yeah.
Not only do you not need to do that, like you can just jam out what you want and then click like organize, and it will organize it perfectly in the way that it should be grouped, and then the kid can go back in there and adjust.
To give you an
right?
idea on how I use AI and how I think would be super effective way to use it for students and stuff, I will still do the work. Recently, I was searching for a job. I would plug in. What I did is I created like a cover letter. I created a 30, 60, 90, and I plugged that into ChatGPT. I said, use this information I'm providing you and make it approachable, easy to understand, and high quality for a whatever field I was going for. And then it spat back out something. It was what I did, but they added all those elements that I said, and it made it better.
Yeah.
And it made it, I did that to my resume, I did that to my cover letter, and I did that to my 30, 60, 90. And what it gave me was still me, because it was all the points I made, but it made it sound like way better. And I could easily see someone writing a 3-page essay, giving it some kind of similar prompt as that, and then spitting out a better version of what you just wrote that makes all the same points.
Yeah.
So, like, the question is, what are we losing when we do stuff like that? Like, are we losing
No, we gain everything.
anything?
I think we are losing. We're losing the ability of being like creative solving when writing. Like,
How important is that skill, though?
I think it is. I like basic human speech.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree. I'm playing devil's advocate, but
I know.
yeah.
So I think it's important because writing, in a lot of ways for a lot of kids and stuff is kind of how you learn basic grammar. Now we got words like
Well,
Riz.
also, we've talked about this before, but like I think all of my thoughts come across my brain as written, like or as spoken. Like I have a very deep conversation with myself as I think through anything. Like it's in word form. Like it's a discussion.
Yeah.
It's not just like I have this thought and I'm kind of just thinking. It is like I'm actually talking to myself. And so I think you're right. Like when you don't have the ability to organize your thoughts well, keep on track with what you're trying to think and accomplish, and using the correct words and ideas to formulate. But like at the same time, what if it's given to you? You take it and then you generate it and then you read it and then you're like, oh, like how sticky is that now? I think like if it's your initial work, right, and you created this original piece of art, then it's a Word document, and then it gets revised to be cleaned up, and you're like, wow, this is really impressive. You'll read through that. I think there will be some sticking to now because all those are your thoughts. They're just organized in a better way of like, oh, that's a great idea to put it like that. Now it's stuck in there that maybe the next time you just organically think to do it that way. So there's some benefit there, maybe.
I hope, Billy, but I have very little faith that
But
humans will not take the easiest route possible.
We definitely will, and that's always going to be
Path
that's
of
always
least
going to
resistance.
absolutely. But I wonder if like you could make the exact same argument going from pen to paper to typewriter to Excel or to Word to autocorrect. Like think about all those little. I mean, that's
I do
all
think
little
that this
flavors
is-
in that.
I do think this is the biggest jump, though.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because that's the era we're in. I do think this is
God,
the biggest jump.
Do you think there was like when autocorrect came out, there was
now people won't know. I know
there
for a
was-
fact people are saying now people won't even know how to spell. Because
Absolutely.
autocorrect.
Yeah. It
So-
would sound like them.
Which is true.
The internet exists. What happens to the
library?
thesaurus? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What happens to the thesaurus?
Kids don't even go to the library.
The thesaurus salesman, he'll be out of a job. Think of all the thousands of people. Yeah. It's always something, right? And I do agree, Kyle, it's absolutely the largest jump because you can
Encyclopedia.
take...
A thesaurus is just.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah.
I had to think
I
about
knew
that one
yeah,
for a second.
I knew I wasn't saying it right because I was like thesaurus, but yeah. It's
That
like,
just teaches
see, I
you
don't
how
even
to-
fucking know the encyclopedia
Because you
Have
don't
either of
need-
you ever used an encyclopedia?
Yeah,
ever?
in school.
When was the last time you used an encyclopedia?
Probably high school.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, I used it for an art project.
What?
He had us tear out a page of paint on it.
Okay, dude. All right.
That
That's
doesn't count.
not even close to what we're talking about.
That's the use
third
of the
grade
dictionary.
was
My
last
my parents had a really nice encyclopedia set that I used to. My dad would challenge me to learn something new every night when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I stopped doing that probably when I was like 12, maybe.
That's pretty late. That's pretty.
Yeah. And by then, the internet was
Definitely
already
was
pretty
out, yeah.
prominent, so it wasn't. It was like a thing. But yeah, I would say like I don't think I was ever required to like in college. I wasn't required to use
No,
an
hell no.
encyclopedia. Like no.
Hell no. So, I just think.
I don't even know if I know how to cite that.
I mean, because this can create
Like a book, I guess.
original.
I tell ChatGPT to help me cite it.
Yeah, put this in MLA format for me.
Because these programs can essentially create original works, and we've never been able to do that. Like, you can give it basic prompts, and it
can
will
make a song.
create something. Yeah, and we've never been able to create. We've always been able to edit and clean up. We've never been able to create, and now we're getting to that. So it'll be interesting. I think I'm always optimistic with new technologies that like, if it is truly bad, they will weed themselves out.
It's here whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
One solution that I can think of that I kind of maybe see
EMP.
colleges, yes, EMP,
Take 'em all.
colleges going towards is maybe when you're writing an essay, they have some program that doesn't allow paste.
They probably already have that.
So it just has to be all text.
like you have to use
You
it
have
in
to
our
manually
program.
enter each key.
You can't use Word.
Yeah. But
I
then-
see a lot of in-class activity as well.
Again,
Yeah.
I just think that is going to be the downfall of education if they try to go that route.
I think
Because
so, too.
again, and we've already seen it with like computer programs, like I got a finance degree and I was never once trained in Excel. That is a fucking problem.
Yeah.
A fucking problem. Now I hope to God that they fix that, but there's no reason why in 2016, 2017, I graduate from college and I don't have any experience in Excel.
You didn't do IS 101 and make a poster on Access?
Dude, I did do IS 101 and like the Excel assignment there was like hit Control T and create a table and then take a screenshot of that and that's your Excel experience. Dude, it was so bad. I'll never forget. I told you this story before. I'll never forget my first. This is a true story, Dylan. I've never told you the story. I walked in IS 101, and at the time, I was like peak fucking PC gamer. I was like, I lived on a computer. And I sit down in this class, and it was like right before work, and it's an afternoon class, and we sit down, and like the professor is browsing the internet. And she hits Control Plus, which like to zoom in to like the screen. And it was a classroom with an auditorium of like, there's probably 300 kids in the classroom. It was a big classroom. And she zooms in. And I'm no joke, like 50% of the class audibly gasps when she this is probably 2012, 2013. Audibly gasps when she zooms in with Control Plus. And she's like, yes, yes, yes. This is the kind of stuff that we are going to learn in this class. Dylan, I shit you not, I grabbed my backpack and walked out. The next time I attended that class was the final. I got an A. So that's one of my proudest moments in all of
he's like,
college.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is exactly what this class could be. All right, see ya. And I'm not even exact. I literally walked out of that classroom. I was like, I am not sitting through this.
I took IS 101 with your brother.
That's right.
And me and him, I don't even really remember that class. We were just kind of fucking off the whole time. But one of the funniest moments I have, like I remember from that class, is our professor. He couldn't figure out how to control his own computer.
Oh no.
He couldn't.
Oh no.
He was like, my mouse isn't working. I don't understand. He was teaching IS. He couldn't. He's like, I don't get it. He calls in IT to come help him. The dude shows up. It's like some 18-year-old kid that works in college IT. And he comes in and he plugs in the guy's mouse.
Oh my god.
It was unplugged.
Oh my god.
It was unplugged. And I looked at your brother and I was like, this guy's fucking teaching us how to use computers. And we both started laughing. But I'm like, that's an actual. And I was like, this guy's like 70 years old. Like, why? This is the worst possible.
He's probably like English lit teacher that they're like, teach this IS class.
I guarantee
do you know what it, go ahead.
I guarantee you it was some existing professor that probably taught like core humanities. And they're like, does anyone know how to use a computer? And he's like, I'll do it. Like, I guarantee
As long as I got somebody to plug in my mouse for me, I'll be good. Well, like, in my interpretation of, because the IS courses were required. I think you had to take 101, 102, and then like 301. I think that was, if you got a business degree, I think you had to take those 3 minimum. And I like IS 101 and 102, they were like basic programs. Like, it was like 102 was like Photoshop.
101 was literally like Access, Excel, Word. Like, it was like stuff like that.
Like super basic. But like almost just knowing like what the name of the program did. Like, that's the level of depth that they went to. And then 301 was more, it was interesting. I wish I could attend it with the knowledge I had now. I think I would get a lot more out of it, because all 301 tried to teach me was like the institutional name. Like, what is a CRM? What is an ERP system? What is, like, this is an enterprise solution. What does that mean? How do these things get administered across a network? Like, it was much more of like an enterprise level course of like terminologies. Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, looking back, I was like, probably should have paid better attention in that class, because I probably would have gotten something out of it. But at the time, it was just like, it was so fucking, I mean, I had worked as a busboy, you know, like, you're reading about this and you're like, I don't know how I apply this knowledge, but sure, you know, I'll memorize this stuff, whatever. That was actually 301 was actually one of my favorite courses, because the projects in there were so much fun. But yeah, IS in general, I was not. And like, kids who were graduating with that degree, I'm like, good luck. Figure it out.
You know what?
So it was an information. It was an information like job that you would try to get from the like a technology based job you would expect to get from the College of Business, not like engineering school or anything like that. Yeah. And it's just like,
you know what,
from
that
reality,
degree is
that's
most
so
commonly
bad.
What that degree is most commonly used for?
McDonald's.
Being an auditor.
Of what?
Just in general.
IRS?
No, like an internal auditor for like banks.
Oh.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, if you have like a bunch of compliance,
they have
a
degree in IS.
But like it was just, I think a lot of kids took that because they thought they were going to go and get like some technical developer job or whatever, and it did not work out that way.
I'm gonna go work in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, look at what degree what college your degree is in, and that'll tell you how it's going to be applicable. If it's a business degree, having a degree is better than no degree for sure, but like, it's not an engineering degree. Like, it's not, it's a different thing.
So different. And I think the colleges do such a poor job of communicating that.
No.
I'll never forget this story too. Senior year, taking portfolio management 490, for 495 or something like that. And I'm in the class, and I'm the first day the professor goes around and asks each kid, okay, where are you at? Like, what year are you, and what do you like hope to do? Like, what first job do you want? Okay, there's 30 kids in this classroom. All of us are either senior or seniors, like graduating that semester. And he went around. I was the second to last person that he got to, just the way he worked around the room. And I'm not even kidding, I was the only one to give an answer. Now, I don't know if anybody gave a fuck about it, but that just struck me as wild. Is like, what year are you and what job? And every single person said senior, and I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
They're fucking 6 months away from graduating, and every
literally
single
like
kid,
30 grand later.
dude,
like, I don't know.
every single kid had no idea what job they were going or what. And I was the only one. I said at the time I wanted to be a pricing analyst because I really really liked that idea, and I ended up engaging. What's funny enough is I said that answer, and I ended up engaging with the professor after class at the end of the year, and that was who gave me my first job.
No.
And it just blew me away that all of these kids were just going through the motions.
It's like, wow, this guy answered me. He's the only one that's got a future.
I was
Hire
like,
him.
just fucking make something up, like investments. Like,
Yeah,
just say
how hard is
something.
that? Yeah.
And I don't know if it became a meme at some point, and I don't know either. Look at us, we're fucking idiots. You know,
And
like,
they're all like in their 30s now. Like,
Yeah.
what are they doing? You know, like,
dude, that was such a lesson for me. And yeah, I was just like, these people
Millennials.
they literally have no
God
idea. They're just following the steps. They were told to go to college. They were told finance is the highest paying job. You know, if you unless you want to be an engineer, okay, and that's why they did it. And that's why half the kids were there. I guarantee it. But none of them had thought of anything past that.
there are so many people that go to school, get degrees, and literally do absolutely nothing with it because they only did that because that's what was expected of them, not because they actually had a future in mind.
100%.
And I'm not trying to shit on people that are not utilizing their degree. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying, like, there's so many people that got a degree because they were told that's what they have to do.
When
Yeah.
when I worked at the bank with Kyle, I worked in this branch, and there was at least 3 people I worked with that had degrees. One had a degree in criminal justice. The other had a degree in business administration, and I forget what the third one. But they were tellers.
Yeah.
They were tellers at a bank, and I was a teller, and I don't have
Thought they
any
were so stupid.
degree. And I was like,
Like, I'll work with people that have like degrees in like business admin or like economics. And so, and like, I'll ask them, I'm like, why are you a teller right now? Why? And they're like, well, I thought that you had to work your way up. And I'm like, you have your degree. That's the whole point is you're supposed to be able to skip like 5 of these things. Like,
What is your career path? What the fuck? Where does teller take you that you could only achieve? Like,
Yeah.
what was the? And they don't think about it.
yeah,
It's like they could punt that thought for 4 or 5 years by going to college,
and then
do
they
it.
become comfortable and happy.
Mhm.
And again,
And then the world fucked me.
if that's what you want to do, that's totally 100% fine.
I find that to not be the majority of people though that truly want to do that. Like,
No.
go and get a degree and become a fucking teller. There's no. But like I remember when I worked at the
It's
bank
because
too.
it's like they're not told.
well,
Exactly.
and
Like,
So there's
what-
not a plan.
There's not a plan. They go, well, I guess banking is
What's
a
the lowest
field
risk? Yeah,
that
finance.
Yeah, that's a financial field.
Respect. I got to wear a
You know?
suit.
Well, and I
And,
don't know
yeah.
what the solution is, but I don't think school preps you to be ready for that. Like
Yeah.
it took
It's
me.
my opinion. Schools. That's not the responsibility of the school though.
Maybe not, but that's why I'm saying I'm not sure how they'd fix it. But I think get something to get them started thinking about it, because I didn't start thinking about it till after, till like I was almost about to graduate high school, and it took me years to like finally figure out what I wanted to do. And I would have wished that somehow some way that could have gotten through to me sooner. That way I would have had more drive to go to college when I fresh graduated high school, right? Because I graduated high school and I went right into working.
No.
And that was because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I felt I was hard on myself because I saw people going to college. I was like, how the fuck do they know? I don't. And I think that a lot of people don't know. And I don't necessarily think it's the school's job, but that is where we spend most of our early
The problem is
childhood.
like we have to commit to that. Like I all the time, like it's a very common question to ask a 12-year-old. What do you want to be when you grow up?
yeah.
And it's like, holy shit.
The rest of my life.
And what I had surmised by the time I was 18 and ready to go off to college was like, okay, I don't think anybody has an answer to this. So what do I like? I like computers. What is the quality of life that I want? I don't want to be in the fucking field cranking wrenches, fucking up my back, whatever. Like, I want to be a desk dweller, chilling. And I'd love the idea of working from home. That'd be fucking cool. Okay, computers. Okay, I'll get into that shit. Boom, and I did.
Well, like,
And that's sort of how I started my college career.
what if they had more almost more like internship, because the thing for me, the catalyst for me finding out what I wanted to do was seeing it be done. And like,
Yeah, what happened to the good old days when you could just apprentice under something to become
I
Yeah.
think kids
something in
these
that
days are
field?
such
Well,
dipshits that
and, like,
companies don't want to deal with it.
they had that test. I remember I took that test in, I think it was high school, where it's like, this is the job you have based on you. I don't know, it was some BS personality test that told you your job. I was going to be a forest ranger, is what it said.
Oh.
Hey, you know what? I wanted to be a forest ranger.
I still kind of want to do it, but
That was my dad's dream job, and then he became a printer.
and
Printed on
he
trees.
became a printer.
The enemy of the forest ranger.
Funny how life has its
You know,
ways.
and
huh?
I talk about college degrees as if I just think that if people have a degree that they should just, I don't know. Maybe I'm not coming across, because I also feel like just because you have a degree, that doesn't mean that you should just be put in the front of the line of like a lot of
Yeah.
different types of jobs. And in fact, when I interview people like in the environment I work at, if they have a degree, what that tells me is that they can at least have their shit together for 4, 5, 6 years, and they can meet tasks and they could do them well enough to pass. And that that gives them an edge over other candidates. But I don't generally just say, oh, this person has their degree, that must mean that they're going to be fantastic at this role. Because in all actuality, I would say that everyone I've worked with that has a degree, some of them are great, but there's a lot that really are not good at their job.
Well, and remember, we don't live in a world where like you get what you deserve just because you went to college. Like you just deserve a better job, or like you said, to be in the front of the line. We live in an open market system. So what does that mean? Well, guess what? When you flood the market with great labor, which is like, qualified bachelor degree labor, and you have millions of young kids who are indebted up to their eyeballs, who are willing to take lower paying jobs, like because it's so competitive, because there's such a pool of assets to pull from, or such a pool of talent to choose from. Well, guess what? Now companies like they're going to. That's why when you see a lot of that barrier to entry of like requires a bachelor's degree, requires a bachelor's degree, requires a. Why do they say that? It's because there's so many freaking people out there with bachelor's degrees that they can hire them, start them off at $35,000 a year, and they have no problem finding people that'll fill that role.
And mainly, I just want to get the point across that I'm not. It came across as if I was like I'm shitting on people for working entry level jobs with a degree. That's not really what I meant.
No.
I don't think that. I didn't take it that
Okay,
way.
I just
No,
want
I
to make
didn't.
sure that that's not how it sounded.
Yeah, I didn't take it that way.
You've absolutely lost no respect for me if you're working an entry level job with a degree. I'm just saying that there are some people that don't realize what they could be doing.
Well,
you know?
I think the point that we're all trying to make, and with that sentiment, is like the idea that you've gone through all the difficulty, which is to get a degree. You've gone through the debt. You've gone through the time, 4 years, 5 years in a lot of cases, and you got to the end, and you still didn't answer the question of like, what do I want to do? I think that's ultimately what we were saying is like, how did you end up here? And it's like, was that really your path? You were like, okay, I'm going to graduate college and become a teller. Like, no. I don't think that's what we're talking about. Like, it's the idea that you've now punted this. You're 22, 23 years old, graduating from college, and you still haven't answered the question of like, where do I want to start? Like, at some point, you do just have to pick. At some point, you do just have to pick and start accumulating skills. You're not getting any younger.
Well, yeah.
And you just got to go find something. And oftentimes, you will be, once you're standing in a new spot, there will be a whole new avenue of knowledge that you're like, I didn't even know that this existed, and I kind of like that niche. And allow yourself to find meaning and fulfillment in that niche, because all the time, like I'll learn about this new area that exists, and you're like, I had no idea all this shit existed in there. And you can pick stuff, like you can build your own career path. Just start somewhere that you think might be interesting, and if it works out, continue pursuing it, and keep your mind open to pursuing new things.
And to Daniel's point, some of the most successful people I know don't have a degree. I mean, there's plenty of people I know that make a whole lot more than I do without degrees. And, I don't have my degree. I do feel like though that I had to work at something a lot harder and longer than maybe I would have if I had finished.
Yeah, but now
finished
like
college.
at this point, we're almost all 30. Like it's all a wash at this point because now you have experience
Yeah.
that you can.
I think at the end of the day, college degrees they don't open doors for you like they say they do. I think they give you the key. It's still up to you whether or not you're going to turn that and be successful at that. It's not just they open doors for you. I think there's a little bit more to it than that.
And I think there are like some opportunities that are just always going to be gated behind that secondary education.
Oh, definitely.
Engineering, doctors, stuff like that. Like you're going to have to play the game to get into there, because the truth is the skills that you do learn in college apply heavily to those fields. Like
Nurse, doctor.
sitting in a cubicle on a computer all day, like doing work, like the skills that you learn in college to be able to go through that stress and that structure and come out the other side, I think that's very applicable to that life. Now, there's some people who can't thrive in that life and they need to be in the field doing things, right? Yeah. But like, I think they're always going to be gatekept. Some fields are going to be gatekept behind that degree, and that's fine.
I want the doctor I talk to have a college with
100%.
Multiple postgraduate levels
Not
of
a chat
education.
GPT,
Like I want a psychologist I talk to have a certain level of schooling under the. So yeah, there are fields that.
But it's like
with
a construction worker, they don't need to go to traditional.
And honestly,
college.
it would be a detriment to them because they don't need to take out that debt. They can get into the field and actually learn on the job, like whatever they're doing. Like, what are the skills? Learn on the side. I
would trust somebody that's worked the job for 10 plus years versus someone that went to school to learn about it in a couple of years.
100%.
Way more.
I feel like 1 for 1, like 2 years on the job or 2 years in a classroom learning about the job. I'm taking the guy that's been hands-on the whole time, been exposed to all parts of the process, the crew, on that type of role. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, if he's like a soil tester or something like that, maybe more of the classroom now, because now like you got to test compaction, whatever it is. Like exactly, there's certain things that are going to lean one way or another,
and there is a whole movement around. I think Mike Rowe is probably the one that pushes this the hardest, but there is a certain element of like we're losing something with like the diminishing of people that are just capable in blue collar careers.
Well, yeah, the thing is
like. We will collapse as a society if all of that gets lost. And I don't think we're in any real danger of that happening immediately, but it is diminishing for sure.
We're lucky because we're in America and our population pyramid is still a pyramid. But you look at cultures like Japan where it's like this, and you see the economic struggles that they run into because you have a lot of old people and you have a lot of young people taking care of those old people. And you're limited into what you can do as a culture and a civilization that way. When you have a pyramid type structure, now you can have a lot more opportunities and diversified things to do. This is another thing. We don't have, like, we're lucky because people immigrate here and our population rates have been okay. They're falling quickly. Mm-hmm. But the only way that we're going to make up that labor is if we develop technology to support that.
Well, or
very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quick. Like within two or three generations, this will be a problem. We are not like our model is a pyramid now. It will ultimately become like that.
Yeah.
So we have to be very quick to shift how much labor we need to make things and do things.
I've had this conversation with my dad actually, because my dad, he works construction, and he's noticed like there's a labor shortage as far as good quality people who want to work construction. And I had this whole discussion with him, and it's like it's kind of what happened with the generation, because growing up I was told not to work those jobs, that you do not want that. And
they're it's like, don't go here, go to school,
go to college,
get a good desk job. You don't want to do what I'm doing.
And so it's like, it's interesting. They need to start incentivizing trade school more, I think, than it is. It needs to become another viable option, rather than when we were kids, it was fed to us as trade school?
Lesser.
Yeah, you don't want to go to trade school.
When in actuality, if you get a job in construction and you do work your ass off, which that's the part that's going to weed out a lot of people. But if you work your ass off and you show them how much you're willing to put into this, you could easily make 6+ figures a year.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Easily. But the problem is that work is not easy. And a lot of people will not do it because they realize how much goes into it.
Well, one of the dumbest strategic errors I think we ever made was the whole work smarter, not harder campaign. And this is like Mike Rowe's. You talked about it just briefly, but like this is like Mike Rowe's mission is to say, hey, let's work harder and smarter. Like we'll do both. And it's because exactly what you just said. We have absolutely bastardized trade culture in America. You turn on the TV, you see the fat plumber with his ass cracking out. That's like the classic example. You know, like all the time throughout our life, you commented on it just now. We heard how many times, oh, go to college. My dad was a blue collar worker, cranked wrench his whole life. Oh, don't go to college. Don't be like me. Be better than me. It sucks, breaking down your body. And that is true.
Yeah.
Those jobs are fucking hard, man. And they're hard on your bodies. And you can make great money. But like the reality is like we bastardize so much to the other side that now it's like,
where's the medium? Where's...
like my brother struggled with this shit mentally for years where it was like, I felt like he couldn't take pride in his job because at some level he felt like he was like a failure because he wasn't the one that went to college and graduated and stuff
Which
like
is
that.
hilarious because he
And it
makes
was
more
like-
than all three of us.
I know,
Like-
combined.
like,
But like it was like it's like a pride thing. Like you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It was just like, no, you don't understand. Like it has nothing to do with you being smarter. Like all I did was show I'm willing to institutionally suffer. That's what I feel like my degree shows. Like, I will suffer in this one industry. Yes. Yes, overlords.
I don't know if there's a right answer to any of this on like what you should do as a person, but I think for me the important thing is to not get so hung up on what society or what your peers tell you should do, and maybe focus on what you think you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and I mean the last part I'll add is, if we ever do have listeners who you don't know what you want to do in life,
As if we're the
Yeah.
gurus that are gonna really explain it
They're
all.
gonna come to
The
the
answer to your
the
quest
nerd podcast.
is liking this stream. Give us a like, smash that
Colleges hate
subscribe.
us.
With this one trick.
one simple trick.
Here's how I conquered America.
And made millions. But for me, to touch on what Kyle was saying is like, don't listen to what other people tell you, and don't compare yourself. Is that when I found what I wanted to finally go to college for, it was so clear. Like I spent hours upon hours and years just dwelling on it, trying to force myself to think about it, and I just happened to see it, and once I saw it, I was like, oh, that seems fun. And like it was simple. So I would say just find something that is simple to you. Like it clicks. You're like, yes, that.
Start the journey.
Yeah.
Start walking. Start moving. Don't stand still.
And I mean, I fell into finance, and I suck at math, so I never expected to end up in the finance field. So don't
That's
write
it.
off any job.
I don't know how it happens. One day you're working at Dairy
Fast
Queen,
food.
and the next day you're working at a bank, moving up the ranks, not really knowing how you got there, just faking it every step of the way. I don't think I've ever felt like I knew what I was doing. I just acted like it.
I'm convinced nobody knows what they're doing.
They all just
Everybody's just-
faking it.
They're all trying to make the best for themselves.
And they all make it sound like they're not faking it, but when you get to know them, they're all faking it.
Is
There's
Jeff-
not a single person.
Is Jeff Bezos faking it, you think?
What do you mean? Like, I knew what?
Is
Is
Jeff,
he-
Faking it?
Jeff
Like,
Bezos, is he faking it till he makes it?
oh, he's made it.
he's made it for
He
one.
made it.
But like still? You think he's still faking it a little bit?
I
think-
think that echelon of person is just built different. I think they are driven. They are wired different.
There's no faking it. He makes the rules.
Yeah.
Like Elon, same thing.
Well-
like why would you like? If I even sniffed $1 billion, I'm fucking I am selling out, sitting on cash, and living my life.
Well, I'm
Zero risk,
Yeah.
chilling.
I would
That's
just
what I
give
would
up.
be doing. Elon Musk, dude, just fucking like on a whim buys Twitter, goes in SpaceX, and he's like like he's running like 15 different companies, and I don't know what kind of quality of life. Like that's not what I would be doing.
Yeah.
But these guys are just wired differently.
Well, and I mean, I can
That's
at
why
least
they are who they are.
attest. Me and Kyle,
Yeah.
we've worked with a few people where when you meet them, you're like, oh,
You're going places.
you're like, wow, okay, you're overqualified, and
Yeah.
you are going to move fast. Like,
I've
I do
known
not have your drive.
quite a few people that like when they get hired in, and you just know you're like they're probably gonna surpass me in like 5 years.
Yeah,
like
This guy's
yeah.
a dog.
So there are people that just have
that dog in them.
that dog in them. You know.
I've always tried to do that, but like in the least risk way, so that I can maintain what I have, which is so crazy because I should have taken more risk when I was young, but
You don't know.
nonetheless, I wish I would have known.
You have
now.
a very high quality of life. I don't think there's
Dude,
anything to.
I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah,
I love my life the way it's set up.
that's the way I've set my life up. The decisions I've made.
Respect, bro. Chilling,
Entrepreneur.
big chilling, folks.
Entrepreneur. I could flip that table for $30.
30.
Yeah, that's what I needed to do. Yeah,
I'm a full time flipper now. Of I go to
Goodwill.
the Goodwill, and I buy and
The
sell
Gary
products.
Vee method. You go to garage sales and try to sell it on eBay.
I hate when I see finance bros pop up on my algorithm every now and then. Like I don't know where it comes from, but
You guys
like
know who Gary Vee is?
yeah, I've seen it. He's got that
Yeah.
annoying high pitched voice that bugs me.
He popped off like 2 years ago, and then he like made some public goal statements, and good for him because he's trying. But like he wanted to buy the New York Jets, and then I think he's like massively declined in terms of popularity, or at least not declined, but like stagnated because I don't see him being recommended every 2 seconds.
A
of my
lot
day.
of these people don't actually. What they're doing is they're good at social media and they're promoting their books, but they don't actually really know what they're doing.
Good at social media. Yeah.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
I haven't heard of what's the bald guy? He went to jail. He almost
Jerry
went
rig everything.
No, he went to jail. He was big for a while.
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate. I haven't heard about him in a couple.
Hopefully, he's fucking
yeah,
dying
I hope
off.
he's gone.
Annoying as hell.
I think they were released from jail, but I haven't. I think they've been banned from pretty much all the platforms. Yeah.
That's great.
He just, I don't know. I'm all for, empowering young men to not give up on themselves and
And women, right?
like,
Yeah, his sex workers.
yeah, but like,
so bad, dude.
but there's something wrong with society where when people latch on to
And
people like Andrew
truthfully
Tate.
believe it.
Yeah, like not just like humorously.
Like there was
Follow
like
it.
when we've all made jokes here about like the Sigma male. Like
He's an extremely immoral person.
Yes.
Like,
we understood that when it first started, Sigma male was meant to be just stupid, making fun
Like
of
a
like those
joke.
alpha male people, and
Yeah.
then people bought into it really,
yeah.
and then it's like, whoa, wait, this is real? Like
Yeah.
people actually think this? And that's
It's the world we
Andrew
live in,
Tate.
man.
That's
I do
him.
think there are a lot of very useful people to follow on
Online for sure.
online for sure.
Well, we got to always remember. Look at it. This is the first time in human history where it is actually incentivized to be a fucking contrarian, like to be not
Yeah.
like to actually cause like disruption. Like that's never benefited you in history
You would
of
get killed,
mankind. Exactly. Like or
Stoned.
you would be shunned by society,
outcast.
and that's that. Now it's like you can have a channel dedicated to like running people over with your fucking car, and you'd have 1 million subscribers.
You know who you're gonna laugh when I tell you this, but I read his book, and I think, don't get me wrong, he has a lot of maybe character flaws, but as far as like motivation and drive, someone that I think is extremely successful in that and can speak well to that is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
I 100%
I agree.
with you.
I
That
I was
guy-
getting ready for you to say like Jordan Peterson
He-
or
He wrote a book.
Yeah.
He wrote a
Okay.
book called Be Useful. Arnold Schwarzenegger did. And Tori actually bought it for me, and I read it.
Oh.
And that man, just the drive that he had, like he refused to change his name from Schwarzenegger, even though every agent he ever talked to said he will never
Yeah, they said it wasn't marketable.
he will never be able to market that name. It, for one, it's German, and that's like a big no-no at this time. This is like the 60s. And so like they're still like, you know, you don't talk about Germany. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and he said he had a vision when he was a boy of seeing his name on top of an image of himself jacked in an action film and seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger at the top before anything else. And he said there was nothing I was going to do to compromise that vision. And then he becomes governor. He becomes
Yeah.
like the world's greatest bodybuilder first. Like there's nothing that he didn't like want to do that he didn't achieve.
Got wealthy from real estate.
Got well, like, and so yeah, he made some questionable choices in his personal life, and he doesn't shy away from that in his book. Though he talks about it, and he's very vocal about like how certain things had an effect on him, like having that secret child. And like,
See,
all
I've
of
never
that.
had a problem with like, okay, his decisions were questionable, but a lot of those were like personal, you know, just choices.
Well, I'm talking
but-
more morally, like you know,
Totally agree
Yeah.
with that. But like the reason why I never really had a problem with him is I always felt like he took accountability.
he never shied away from
Yeah.
it.
Never
Never shied away
He
from it.
didn't blame
talked about it
anyone.
right away. He didn't like
As
hide
soon as
from
it
the
happened,
problem.
he had a press conference.
Yes.
And he's like, this is what happened.
Yep.
This is when it happened. These
when
are
I
the
found
mistakes
out,
I
blah,
made.
blah, yeah.
You know, and like, and she didn't also tell him about his secret child until the child was already like almost like 15 or something at that point. And he knew, like, he found out about it and then was vocal about it as soon as it happened. So like, he never tried to paint himself like that, like he was the good guy in
Yeah.
that scenario. He was just honest about it.
What was his first movie where his name was top? I remember.
Probably, I mean, the one where it was like that really
Conan.
did it was Conan.
Conan.
probably.
Okay.
Not
Not Terminator. They didn't have
No,
his
that
name.
was after.
Terminator was after. I think his name was above Conan the Barbarian, and I think that was like the first time
That's
where
pretty
like
cool.
he achieved his mission.
He's a
his
top
dream.
billed actor for years.
Yeah. And his voice wasn't dubbed. Like in one of his first movies, he played Hercules, and they dubbed like a proper English voice or a
Where
proper
are you
American voice
going?
over him, and it was just bad. And like so, Conan the Barbarian was probably the first time where he was like, it was him. You know, it was authentically him. And then he had one of the most successful movie careers for like 20 years straight. He dominated the box office.
And all those movies. Oh, okay. I'm gonna take that back. I haven't seen all those movies, but the majority of them
They're
are
mostly good.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have a lot of duds. They're like just good, you know.
Kindergarten Cop,
I love Kindergarten
Jingle All
Cop.
the Way, Last Action Hero.
Well, we're at 2.5 hours of the stream here, guys. So,
Holy shit.
Nice.
Dylan, where can people find us?
They can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, any major podcast listening platform, as well as please come join us on YouTube Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time, where we stream live.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're watching us right now. Leave us some comments, some likes, subscribe, smash that like
Dude.
button.
That shit is like so 5 years ago.
I know. Well, I heard now
People don't say
YouTube-
smash it anymore.
I've heard YouTube, like when you say subscribe, the subscribe button lights up.
I don't think that is
Wow,
true
even for a live stream?
people like us.
I don't know about live stream, but people like us.
I don't think that we have enough of a
They're
following
like,
for
we are
them
not
for them to
dedicating
give a
the-
shit.
But maybe subscribe.
subscribe.
Yeah.
We've beat the algorithm. That's all you have to say.
But yeah, come check us out.
Cool.
And remember, guys, with a good KD, you get the
Dub. Bye.